So I'm going to do my intro.
Is this practice?
Yeah, you're welcome to be involved with this. So, welcome back to Don't Lift. Tonight, and it is tonight, I'm meeting an old friend of mine, Keith Robinson. Keith and I worked together. Well, actually, we raced together in Formula Renault in 1998. And then we worked together at Club Fiorano, which was Ferrari UK's official driving club throughout Europe and UK. And then we've kind of, our paths have crossed over the years. Normally I'd do this intro like when you're not in the room. Yeah. But considering you're just generally a comedy...
Just in the room.
...character, we'll
go for
get
it.
you involved in this one.
Involved.
So remember, what's the name of this podcast, Keith?
It is Don't Lift Off.
Don't Lift Off.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Thank you for
mate.
coming up, first of all. Because you've come up from Weybridge.
Weybridge, yeah.
That's down south.
Down south, posh part of south. It's nice. John Lennon lived there, a few of the stars.
You said
Cliff
earlier,
Richard.
John Lennon was my next door neighbour.
No, I keep
Keith
saying...
has been dead for 40 years.
I keep saying, well, there's a story about that. When I wanted to go on to see John Lennon's house, which is Kenwood, it's on St George's Hill. Obviously, me and my wife turned up. You're not coming in. So then we had to say,
You went round his house?
Yeah, so where St George's Hill, I wish he was there, bless him. Where St George's Hill is, he lived in Wood Lane, and his place was called Kenwood. But to get onto St George's Hill, you obviously had to live there or have a pass. But I then thought, how can we get on? Oh, we got a meeting with a lady at the tennis club about membership. Oh, yeah, away we go. So it was quite nice. I turned up there once, the gates were open, drove in, and it's exactly how it was when he lived there with Julian and Cynthia. So it's quite...
So does no one live there anymore then?
I don't think so. It wasn't on the market for quite some time. Then it was heavily reduced because it's a Grade 2 listed, so it can't be played around with. But the interior's been done. It's got a nice pool, but... Yeah, I'm surprised old Liam Gallagher didn't buy that, you know.
Yeah,
so
well...
With his cosmic powers with John, they could have met up again. But, it's a fascinating place.
He was... He got, from what I understand, Liam got quite friendly with Yoko, or is quite friendly with Yoko. She's given him some artwork.
I think so. Yeah, they've met at, I think, a meeting, an art showing or something. I think they met up. But I know they are on talking terms, and they do talk to each other. Yeah.
Well, he does think he is.
He does.
Reincarnated.
There's some great footage of Liam Gallagher in an Australia TV show, and then he said about meeting Lennon on a cosmic passing.
Yeah.
You know, and then the host said to Liam, "What's the first thing John Lennon said to you when you two met on this cosmic travel?" And Liam just goes, "Don't go to Australia because it's raining." And it's actually on YouTube somewhere, so you've got to check that out. It's fantastic. He is funny, Liam. Brilliant.
Yeah.
He was at the Foo Fighters Taylor Hawkins tribute concert. He opened it, and he was just like, "Fucking Wembley," he's superb. He's really, some people, he's like Marmite. Some people love him, loathe him. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, he's great. Did you manage to get tickets? Did you manage to get?
Didn't. No, Natalia was my wife. She was on a queue.
Yeah.
About 12 hours. So we managed to do our chores throughout the day.
And the rest of the UK.
Came back. Oh, we're through. And then we're in another queue.
Yeah.
We gave up.
For us, it was a 4-pronged attack. So we had 4 Ticketmaster accounts. So it was me and Nicola, Jess and Chloe. We're all in separate locations, so it's legit. Yeah. And we managed to get 4 together because it was for... the 4 of us. We managed to get 4 together, which were not particularly good one, but it's not particularly good seats, kind of at the back, little bit obscured view, but it should be all right at Wembley.
So you managed to get some?
Yeah, managed to get 4 for Wembley.
4. And
then randomly, I was in the queue, and I was like 18,000 when I first joined, and then it gave me the option to get 2 more down in the VIP. It was not VIP. It was like special grade quality tickets, like 480 odd quid tickets. But they were really nice, really good. Like it was like second row back at Wembley. So I phoned my cousin up and I said, he's a massive, Liam Gallagher Oasis fan. I said, do you want these tickets? It's going to cost you £1,000 for a pair. Get them. I want them. And then after I booked that, I thought, well, it should allow you to get...
Don't tell me you got some more.
I should allow you to get another 2.
Mate,
so I logged back in.
Did you forget my number?
I logged back in. I got another 2, but from my brother in a slightly, different place. But again, £1,000 each. But well, we're there anyway.
Wow, no, they are good. It's good they're getting back together. How it's going to be?
No one thought it was going to happen. Did
no.
They? You
never know. There could be a refund going out. You don't know. It's still early days.
Yeah. When I thought about getting you up here for a podcast, I figured that 3/4 of it, and I shouldn't say the word figure because that's really American. I thought that 3/4 of it would be just talking about music.
Well, I always associated.
And you look less of a rocker than me now.
Yeah, I know.
You always had long flowing.
Well, I've only just had it cut. It does get long, but I went and saw Enzo down at Headmasters, and did the magic. So didn't want to look like the homeless person. Which I did do in lockdown with the beard and the long hair.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You're going full Paul McCartney, 70s.
Full Paul McCartney, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going
McCartney album, do you remember?
Yeah. He did 3 of those albums. McCartney 1, 2 and 3. The newest one was like in the noughties, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I like Macca. He's good. He's
just lost his voice.
Yeah. Hi, Paul McCartney. John and I used to write together. But John was the one that come up with all the words, I just sat there and played bass.
That's too much Stevie Ricks.
Stevie Ricks. He's been legend Stevie Ricks. Hey, Yoko, the rice is burning. Stevie Ricks. He is funny, isn't he?
Awesome, man.
Legend. There you go.
But yeah, we've always talked about, like, when we've done the Club
Fiorano
trips, like in the minibus, and
do you remember some of them trips? Brian Svensson. Oh, mate.
Right, so for the context of who Brian Svensson is, so Brian Nature Boy Svensson is an ex-British wrestler.
Yeah.
Fought against Big Daddy, Shirley Crabtree, back in the day.
Crabtree.
Turned to his hand to rallying and has got the most amazing car control of anyone I've ever met.
He's just in his 70s now, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah. He lives at Driffield, not too far away from here.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Nice guy.
No, I've got to get him on.
When I first met him, I thought, wow, this guy's lively. What? To be careful. He was like, what's up? You nervous? I was like, and I'll never forget that time at a bar. He said to Austin Kinsella, were you there at the bar when he said, look, what I'm going to do, we're going to do a bit of an act in the pub here. I can't remember.
No, that wasn't Austin, that was me.
Oh, was it you?
Yeah.
Although
it was a double act.
It was a double act, sorry.
Go on.
Austin was there.
Yeah.
And he did a double act, and he made out as if he was having a fight with you, and he did a Big Daddy slam on the bar, and the barman... It was like freaking out.
Yeah, it was either on the bar or on the. And I just remember clearing virtually half the bar and knocking over all the drinks.
It was a full on.
Right.
Yeah,
well, I'll tell you where
that, did they?
I'll tell you where that.
Yeah,
it was me. Yeah.
But Austin was there. Austin was there. I think.
Yeah. It was that. It was a trip. That was the Dijon trip, wasn't it?
The Dijon trip, yes.
But I remember, right. He was just. So we had this thing. So for a short while, I worked on the rally stage at Silverstone. That's where I got to know Brian more, and he taught me all about left foot braking and about all the Scandi flicks and. But before the day started, we'd always have like a scrap. Now he then taught me what these. Well, he's an ex-wrestler. What do you expect?
Yeah.
So.
It's like us having a warm-up lap. He has a scrap.
Yeah, he just has a scrap, and he'd be like that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he'd be like.
But when we used to have a scrap, he used to turn me upside down and put my feet, like bang my feet on the ceiling.
On the ceiling.
And so, like, when you go into like a rally cab, and I think I might have already talked about this on the podcast, like customers are walking, they'd be sat in the briefing, sat there, and they'd be just like looking up on the ceiling and seeing these footmarks on the ceiling.
Well,
but the very first day I got to Silverstone, I thought he knocked out Darren Turner. Remember Darren Turner when he was McLaren Autosport?
Redgrave Racing.
Yeah, Redgrave, yeah.
Yeah, he was going out with Claire Redgrave, wasn't he, at the time?
That's right. Yes, yeah, back in the day. I'm sure he'll love us bringing that up. Yeah, so he and Darren and Sven must have had a double act as well. He taught him to, like, he'd throw him across the room. So this first experience of meeting Brian was Darren Turner, who was the current McLaren Autosport young driver of the year, McLaren F1 driver, was Formula Renault champion, I think he was. Anyway, he was certainly a race winner, and went on to DTM, and he was race winner in touring cars, and Aston Martin works driver. Anyway, Sven throwing him across the room, him banging into a door and falling down completely, looking like he was knocked out. But the bang was his hand.
That's what they did.
And that's what it was. Yeah, it was like banging the whole foot on the canvas, wasn't it, to make it bang? And so he taught us that you have to slam your hand in just before your head is going to hit, so it looks like your head's going to hit.
We hid in, I think you were there, myself and Austin hid in Svenson's hotel room. We hid inside it, and he found us. I think we turned it upside down. We put the bed up and did stuff in his room. And he found us. And I remember him bouncing Austin Kinsella on the bed. He found me, bounced me as well. And I was quite tall, but he still bounced me.
Yeah.
And it was just entertainment value. It was like a breath of... It was just made us all laugh. He was superb.
But unbelievable car control. So he was the most versatile, and as I say, I'll get him in, and so maybe just talk about this when he's in. But the most versatile instructor that I've ever met. He could do race driving or race instructing. He could do rally instructing, skid control. He could drive the tractor. He could literally do every role at Silverstone. I mean, he's.
But he lived at Silverstone, didn't he? He
lived in a caravan. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, a lot of us did, to be fair, during a point of time. This was peak season when you've got 3 days on, 1 day off, another day on. You're gonna saves you from travelling back up to Yorkshire but I love Sven.
Top bloke Svensson. He did a few years with us at Fiorano, didn't he? Yeah, Fiorano was.
Well, I tell you what,
Fiorano was a good.
Talking about Fiorano,
Club Fiorano.
We kind of we were dragging some photos out. Well, before we go on to the Club Fiorano days, let's do this in a logical order and talk about now.
Right.
Now, I'll just before you start, when I first met you. Well, first we kind of got to know you better at Fiorano.
98 and Fiorano.
98, 99.
And we had a connection because I remember when you came for training, I was like, hey.
Yeah, so you knew me from the Renault days.
Yeah.
But the main thing that I remember about you from Club Fiorano was the mechanic. Was it Paul? Paul, I think, was the mechanic used to work with you at...
Paul Nash.
That's it. When you used to work with him at Egham...
Fantastic guy.
Ferrari UK, basically.
Paul Nash, legend.
And he was like, oh, yeah, Dave Toner.
Yeah.
We call him Dave Toner.
Yeah, that's it.
So tell your story about why you sent me this.
So that is exactly the same as my dad's car. I did have some pictures of my dad's Daytona, but sadly, when you take them to school to show all your mates when you're young, you tend to lose them and they go missing. But the first car I was picked up from hospital in was a Ferrari Daytona, my dad's Daytona, red coupe, exactly the same as that. And that is Maranello sales in Egham. That could possibly be my dad's one, not too sure, but it had a colour change in 1980. That's around 1980. But my dad sold it just when I was about 6 months old, but he told me all the stories about it, and it sort of always used to look at the old brochures, and I thought it always said it looks like a bullet, and it's such a streamlined car, and it was always dreaming of driving them. And I used to go down to Duncan Hamilton's in Bagshot, and they had an original GTS, a Spider.
Yeah.
Then my favourite movie, The Gumball Rally.
The Gumball Rally?
No, The Gumball with the Daytona.
Right.
And the Cobra.
Is that a film?
It's a fantastic
Gumball
film.
Rally?
Yeah, The Gumball Rally, 76.
Oh.
Fantastic film.
I've never seen that.
One of the best films. Realistic soundtracks, real Daytona GTS4. GTS4, a Red Spider, Cobra, Porsche, Amazing film. If you get a chance, watch it.
Listen to the soundtrack. I'll have to get it on there. We'll get it on tomorrow morning. We'll get it on in the cinema.
Real racing. Yes, it's great. It's from New York to California, Los Angeles. So I think it's around 2,000 odd miles, but it's an amazing film. So the Cannonball Run prized themselves on the Gumball Rally was like the first.
Right.
I still think the best. A bit like Jaws 1.
Yeah.
As opposed to Jaws 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But they're all good. Those. I haven't watched any Fast and Furious. I never watched that.
No, it's not really. I tell you what's a good film. It's Baby Driver. You ever seen that?
No.
That is mega because it's all of the stunts, as far as I'm aware. There's no CGI in that film.
Yeah, I'm not. There's definitely no CGI on the Gumball Rally or the Cannonball Run.
No, exactly.
Which I like.
Yeah, it's mega. I mean, Baby Driver is quite similar. It's quite a good film. Okay. Kevin Spacey plays part, but it's all in a Subaru Impreza, but the stunts and stuff are mega. But in terms of so you're into Ferraris.
I got into Ferraris, and I worked at Ford Garage, went to school, enjoyed my life at school, then got a full-time job as a car valeter.
Yeah.
So, I used to work at Garden Nursery, then Waitrose, and then got my job as a car dealership, Solomon's of Camberley, Ford dealership, as a car valeter. Went down, I think it was £100 a week, turned up in the old MZ, turned the key off, it's still running, go in, a guy called Tony Goran, fantastic guy. I just said, have you got any jobs? Yes, when do you want to start? And I sat down, he's a lovely man, proved I was keen, he saw the enthusiasm in me, and I was just cleaning the cars, valeting the Fords, the RS Turbos, the Sierra Cosworths. We had some great time, really. Worked there, had some great fun driving the XR4Is. I was driving Sierra Cosworths at the age of 17.
XR4Is,
going to budget rent-a-car. There was a guy called Seamus. We used to buy cars from budget rent-a-car, like ex-demos, and sit watch Concord take off and have an Indian at like midday with Peter Gethin would take us for a onion bargee in a Sierra Cosworth with trolley jacks in the back. It was brilliant. We had great fun back in the 4 days. And then...
So what took you to Ferrari?
Well, because Ferrari was just down the road. Obviously, I love Ferrari because of what my dad had.
Yeah.
And, he got me to watch Villeneuve as a young kid. Nicky Lauda was telling me about Lauda. And he just sort of introduced me to the F1 side, the racing side.
Yeah.
Benny Arnoux, Patrick Tournbay.
Yeah.
Stephanie Hansen. And then it was... I'll tell you when it was. It was the end of early 97, end of 96. I went for a job interview at Heathrow, and it was I can't remember how it was worded, but I thought, that's good. I'd like to do that.
Yeah. So back then, Ferrari UK was it's like Maranello Concessionaires or something, was it? What was the name of it?
It was Maranello.
It was like a private entity, wasn't it?
It was Maranello Concessionaires, but what I did, I went to Heathrow for this job interview at Heathrow, thinking it was going to be a good job. And then they said, I can't give you the job. I was all suited. They said it's to clean the planes. As Danny DeVito would go, oh. Right, okay. And I was all suited, looking smart. It's worded, you clean the planes when they come in. So they said, I think you might be overqualified. I mean, they were quite honest with me because I didn't know really what it was. I think it was incorporating some sort of maintenance of interior planes, but it's to cleaning the planes. And they said, is that really for you? And I was sort of, I'll have a think about it. But, it's a job. People do it, and I appreciate what they do, but it wasn't really me. I found out more about it, and I was steered in another direction. But on the way back, pulled over at Maranello's. I was all smart. Spoke to Tony Willis.
Was there a job going there then?
No.
Just a random thing you just called
it?
I've
been sending letters, but I took all my photo albums. I had them all in the car. All of the photo albums.
No way.
The ones I've got, which I showed you.
Yeah.
And I basically kept knocking on the door, and Tony Willis said, he keeps coming in, he's always in, he brings the bloody photos. I had to just say, yes, you're right, you're starting next week. And next thing I know, I'm driving Ferrari Dinos and Daytonas, and I'm living the dream.
Amazing.
And it was valeting, and then it got into road testing cars and F40s and working in the workshop. It was just great. It was a sort of dream,
Yeah.
Keith, what are you doing at the weekend? Tony Willis, the best man, one of the best managers ever. Nothing, Tony. Good. See the 360? Shelsey Walsh. I've got a bloody wedding to go to. You can demonstrate it up the hill. First one in the country. When you
really?
Yeah.
So what year was that? That was about 98?
99.
99, was it?
Remember the yellow ones we had? We had some yellow ones.
What, 360s?
Yeah, they
I
came
thought
out.
we had...
No, but the first ones, the demos, we had an F1 and a manual, and they both came in yellow.
Remember the manual? I didn't remember the
yeah,
first
they
ones.
came out in yellow. And,
right.
I remember I had to go to Shelsey Walsh and do a demonstration up the hill. But it's the way Tony's like, Keith, what are you doing at the weekend? Nothing. Well, good. You can drive this Ferrari to Shelsey Walsh and demonstrate it at the Ferrari Owners
Was
Club.
that because you were a valeter who didn't shunt?
I didn't shunt, and I was racing Formula Renault at the time.
Yeah.
And I think, I was careful, and, I was the only guy there allowed to road test the F40s. So he said the salesman would just bloody smash it up all the time. Keith, can you take this guy out in the 40? Enjoy, make him feel at home? Yeah, we'll do. So, yeah, Tony, I owe a lot to Tony Willis at Marinello's. Really, amazing guy. Still around, still involved in the Classic A. He does the Classic A's with Ferrari. He's got all the history on all the old Ferraris. But it was him that, opened the door, so I'll never forget that. So, yeah, himself and his wife, Jane.
So that was like late 90s, but this fella here was, I'm guessing, one of your heroes. In fact, you took these photos, not particularly good quality that's appearing on here, but they're a better quality picture for whatever reason. We're not getting particularly high resolution. But tell us what this is. So this is a photo you took of what?
I think I sent them in low res.
Yeah, I think that's what you've done. You're not the most technologically advanced.
I have sent them in low res.
I should just point out at this point that if there's a person that's analog, it's Keith. Keith is...
The Nokia, folks.
That is genuinely...
2000.
Keith,
so look, you can take
Keith's
the back
phone.
off. See the battery? Oh, yeah. Just click it back in. But
has it got like infrared on it?
No.
It's got a it's got an LED light though, so you can at least switch that on during the gig.
I mean, Nigel's not as blurry as that, but that was 93.
When Nigel tested the Williams.
That was 94.
That was
I took about
after
150 photos. That was just after Paul Ayrton passed away.
Yeah.
And Nigel was still Simon Newman Haas, and I think he just done a race in Cleveland. And he came over, and my dad said to me, I had my full Capri at the time, and he said, take 40 quid cash in you, bang it to the marshals, they might let you in. So I'm driving down towards Brands Hatch because I got a tip off. And then on the news on Virgin Radio when it was, Nigel Mansell was testing at Silverstone today, and I was like,
was that Silverstone?
No. They said it on the radio at Silverstone.
Right.
And I was near Brands, turned up. I thought it was a British touring car event.
Because there's so many people there.
9,000 people.
Was there really?
9,000. It was packed.
That was just to test.
Yeah. And to see...
I bet Williams were well happy with that.
Oh, no, Nigel said...
you could come along.
On one condition, he tested, but Nigel instigated on one condition. Yeah. Everyone comes. It was free to get in.
Mm.
It was one of the hottest days of the year.
Yeah.
One of the best days of the year.
Yeah.
And to see Mansell jump in the car on his first lap and hear him get back to a paddle shift, it was like, well, it was tramping at the top of paddock.
Yeah.
And I thought he's just getting used to it again.
Yeah.
Did a few spin tests. And I think he got down to 34 on the Indy.
Oh, it was on the Indy circuit, was it?
Yeah, it was on the Indy with the old Graham Hill.
Just getting used to it again.
But
he'd got a bit of history at Brands, hadn't he?
Fantastic. And then he stopped right in front.
Oh, is that the burnout there that he's doing?
And he wasn't the best of starters. He always used to get a bit of wheel spin, as you can see. But to watch it and hear it, it was a symphony because.
And he won that race not long after.
No, he won in Adelaide.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But did he? Was that? I thought it was only Adelaide. Did he do some more races before that?
He did Jerez, Suzuka, and Adelaide. Jerez, I think he put it on the front row, or third on the grid. and then I think he retired halfway through.
Right.
But he was up there on the pace. He had an amazing battle with Alesi in '94, where there was the aggregate race, that wet race at Suzuka '94.
Ah, yeah, the one that Hill won.
Where Hill won, but Brundle sadly hit that Marshall, where all aquaplane. The Marshall was okay, but it was then everyone said, right, this has got to be red flag. They took a little bit longer to red flag stuff back then. But to be fair, that the aquaplaning was horrendous. Johnny Herbert went off, Brundle hit the poor Marshall. And then it was on aggregate, and Mansell had this amazing battle with Alesi, proper wheel-to-wheel stuff, V10 and a V12 screaming. And
this aggregate is like a two-part race,
yeah,
wasn't
it was a two-part.
That was when Hill beat Schumacher
Mansell, That's it, but Mansell got past Alesi, but went back on aggregate. But what a dice. Mansell was 41 at the time, still up there, battling away.
Yeah, and then won at Adelaide.
One in Adelaide.
By default, kind of. We did put it on pole, though, to be fair.
He put it on pole, and he put Schumacher under pressure. So I think for him to come back, he was out of the seat from '93, won the IndyCar, and going from the Lola, he didn't do very well in '94. I don't know whether...
In IndyCar?
No, he was still up there, but you sometimes sort of think, I've won the championship. He nearly won Indy 500. He did so well in Indy in '93. I sometimes think, do you think there was that 5% of, I've won it? He had the number one on it. He was still trying, you could tell. But I think that what inspired him to go back to Williams.
Back into F1.
And it proved he was still quick. And then sadly, a year after, McLaren gave him not so nice car. The Batmobile, which didn't suit. As you can see, I've got my Nigel.
Yeah, you always had that,
there.
Didn't you? You still got the same lid design?
Yeah, well, the lid design, we'll get to that later, but yeah, Ray Grimes designed my lid around Nigel Mansell. So.
Yeah. Ray was very talented for that. My I Want to Go Faster logo? He did that
He
as well.
do that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he did. No, Ray's got a lot of talent. We'll talk about him.
I should promote my own coaching website. I want to go faster.co.uk is now.
Another blurry pic. Anyway.
So where was this?
That was Birmingham Wheels.
Birmingham Wheels. Now we're talking.
There's me there.
Proper track.
As you can see.
I can't picture where that is at Wheels, eh?
That is Birmingham Wheels. So the guy on the right is a guy called Joe Young. So I owe a lot to Joe, because he ran and owned the kart circuit called Kart Speed in Bracknell. Okay. Which was an indoor kart circuit. And I used to turn up, and it was £10 for like 20 minutes on these Devensons indoors, GX 160. But £10, it was brilliant. I then got a job there as a marshal.
Okay, yeah.
So I was working at the Ford garage, and then got a job as a marshal, waving the flag, £15 a night. But you could go out in the car. I'd say, Joe, could I ever go in the car? Yeah, go on. Yeah. Jump in, mate, jump in.
Fair enough.
And then that's where the endurance sort of came into me.
Yeah.
So just going round and round and round and round. Then I did open nights, used to win open nights, and I did a bit of commentary.
Right.
We used to have cassettes where I used to line them up like Rocky, simply the best when someone run. Drivers.
Like
get
a DJ.
Dun, 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 dun. That'll be calling them out. And then that's when we did manual timing.
Really? Yeah. You just press the button as they came past?
No, wrote it down. But it was a huge indoor kart circuit in Bracknell. And then we bought...
So how would you time it? A stopwatch and then write it down? Stopwatch, write it down?
No, it wasn't on timing. It was stopwatch. Yeah. On a lap time, I think, if I remember. But just if it was like a 20-minute race, who was winning? Down that one lap two. No, we didn't do qualifying because it was just done in
Nowadays,
heats.
You go to Daytona and it will give you your split times. It will give you loads of graphs. So it's amazing. It
was all done on. Yeah, we didn't do timing. It was done on heat. So you had like a certain amount of heats, etc. And you got through the semi-final, then the final. But Joe and Jackie Young. Yeah, I owe a lot to them. Allowed me to race for Kart Speed International, which was Twin Engine Pro Kart British Championship run by Race Productions, Bob Pope.
Yeah, Bob Pope.
Legend drivers. I mean, the amount of times he used to red flag us at Le Mans, put us all over, and just say, right, the next person who overtakes under a yellow is going home. We'd all be there, like, yes, Bob. And he was straight cut, but owe a lot to Bob as well.
So he used to be involved with or help out his good friend Martin Howell from Playscape.
Martin sadly passed away,
and Bob was posting a lot about that, and I can't remember if we had a conversation about it.
They were the first indoor scene, weren't they?
Yeah, but ran it really well. So we did the Dubai 24-hour kart race on a couple of occasions in 2000 and 2001. Yes. I did it with my ex-wife Amanda.
Was he racing there? Sean Durkin, Gary Worthington?
No. The main guy who I remember that really stood out was a guy called Christophe Hissette. Now, Christophe was a specialist of the Middle East. I think he might have been German or something. I can't remember exactly where he was from, but he was the kiddie in terms of speed. He put it on pole at least one of the years that I was there, and he was so fast and consistent. But then these lads that were out there racing pro karts, doing the pro kart scene, they were all quick. But sadly, Christophe passed away in a radical. It was a fire in a radical at Dubai Autodrome 10, 15 years or so ago. Yeah, had a crash and whatever, the car set fire and he didn't get out of it, but he would have been, he was very quick. He was very quick. I don't think he set the world light in radicals, but I think he would have been somewhere near the pace. He was certainly
the pro karting scene helped me a lot. The pro karting scene helped me a lot, especially.
Well, it's not like massive budget either, is it?
No, well, I'm fortunate. I'm lucky to have raced for Kart Speed, so I didn't have to pay. And then that was in '93. That was the first pro kart race I did was Docklands with Rick Parfitt Jr. was doing it as well. Rick. And I was so excited. It was a 24-hour on the dock. Ed Redfern was doing it as well. Guy I worked with at Mercedes. Yeah. We found out he was in the same race. We came 7th in that race, but there's a bit of a story to this at the beginning. It was in December. It was probably minus 20 on the docks of Docklands on this huge concrete area, massive circuit. I was so excited to see the circuit. As I ran, my ankle went in the car park and I broke my ankle.
No way. What, running?
Yeah, the race hadn't even started. So I thought, well, I'm not going to not race. I'm going to race, mate. So I bandaged it all up and it was swollen up. So I went out, did the night stint, flying around, had this massive shunt out the back where someone squeezed you into those makeshift tyres. Ambulance turns up. I was in agony. Yeah. And I'll never forget, they went, blimey, that's swollen up quickly. I went, no, I did that this morning in the car park. Oh, wow. They were like, huh? But then we got 7th, and that was like my first. I remember Rick Parfitt turning up the Status Quo bus.
I was going to say, so Rick Parfitt, son of
Rick Parfitt Jr. The son of the legend Rick Parfitt Sr. Status Quo. But great times, all that pro karting area and race, Bob Pope and the whole thing. It was like, I never thought I'd be able to do it, but get into racing, but I pushed.
Well, it's interesting though, like you say, fast forward to cars later and doing that endurance stuff, how that had helped you in terms of mindset and rhythm and stuff like that. So you then you had a few little experiences in some cars. Is that Teesside?
That is Teesside, yeah.
God, I didn't actually. That's the first time I looked at this photo and it just looked familiar.
Yeah. That is Teesside. Yeah. So.
That was just a test in a Formula Ford, and what you had another test. Oh, is that Formula First?
That's a Formula First.
There you are, Howard.
So that was
finally a photo of a Formula First.
Formula First. That was that previous one was an old Crosley,
right?
And that was the Aintree Driver Scholarship,
right?
Which I came runner-up out of 150 people or something. So it started that Aintree circuit,
right?
Then was a couple of rounds, so I came runner-up. I missed a gear change, and I dropped a second on my lap time, but. Yeah, that made me more determined, so I knew I had it. And it was a genuine scholarship. It was £150. If you're good enough, you'll come through to the next round. So, it was a nice... Malcolm Balfour, I think it was.
Barfoot, you mean?
Malcolm Barfoot.
Barfoot, yeah. I've heard his name. In fact, I think... So, if you look back on a couple of podcasts ago, there was Howard Patterson talking about him, and he talks about that his name comes up because Howard Patterson ran a Formula First team.
Okay. So Malcolm Barfoot, he was genuine scholarship.
Right.
Very nice, really nice. You know, it wasn't just take your money. It was a genuine scholarship, which was great for people. And came runner up, and a guy called Phil, can't remember his surname, he won it. But it was good fun. That I enjoyed that.
Yeah, nice.
That was a Formula 4 2000 at Goodwood. Someone said, "Come down, have a go." I was just having a go in it. It was nothing special.
Yeah.
Just to drive it. And
that's the key, though, is just to get your backside in different cars.
So
and then what's this? This is kind of how
some high-res pictures.
Yes. Nicely talked, that one.
Yeah, back to some high-res. So that was 97 Donington, racing for Tollbar Racing. So I'd done a bit in Formula First. Only did a couple of races. My first Formula First race, that was actually with Nick Padmore, believe it or not, Mallory Park. Had a misfiring engine, did another one at Donington, got up to 9th, then they red flagged it. So I was making progression, but then did a bit of testing in Formula 4 96.
So when Tollbar, was that when...
Mike Flounders.
Right, okay, so Cy Hill was talking a lot about Tollbar because that's where he started in Renault Spiders.
He did, yes. So that's where I think I met Simon Hill. So I used to go up to Darleydale. So in 94, 95, a guy called Kevin Sherwood, who run DKS Racing, Dino Morelli.
Yeah, and Dino Morelli,
so
yeah.
Dino
God,
Morelli,
that's a name I haven't heard for a long time.
Broke his legs at Nürburgring. Mm-hmm. So that was Kevin Sherwood's team. Kevin sort of helped. I became very good friends with Kevin and Dorcas. And Kevin ran a Ralt RT3233 Bowman development car with Tollbar.
Yeah.
And Kevin introduced me to Tollbar, so I was like a gopher at the weekend. Go for this, go for that, wash the wheels, go for the tyres, give the car a wipe down. But I was learning about what should be done with the race car, the prep, the clean, get the wheels off, stack them up.
Yeah.
Take all the pickup before you take the tyres for balancing. Just the simple stuff, run up, running the cars up, everything I was learning. So I was helping out at Tollbar, making sure the car was clean. When you clean a car, you notice, there's a bolt missing. Oh, Mike, there's a bolt loose. Oh, cheers.
Yeah, so you just
so
get to know it.
You learn
I can see you're really getting your hands dirty there. You're getting stuck right into it there, mate.
Yeah, I didn't really get my red Ferrari top. I didn't have the moustache then though. But that was Mike.
There you go. You get stuck in.
That was Mike.
That's
Bright.
Donington, isn't it?
That was Donington. So that was there's Tom Shepherd in the background. And Richard Shaw.
There you go.
So that was my best friend, my closest
friend,
who's sadly no longer with us. Mike on the right.
Yeah.
And Mike Bray. So
where's Tom? Is that Tom?
That's Tom.
Yeah.
So Mike on the right was a karting guru. He built all the engines, the 4-stroke GX 160s.
Right.
He helped me put the money towards buying the Formula Renault.
Right.
Helped pay for the engine. So
nice.
He was like my second dad. He sort of run the kart team at Kart Speed. He was like...
and gave you some support.
He was very supportive.
And is that the same car as this? Because this is when we first met. So this is 98, right?
No, that's 99. That is.
Oh, okay.
So I did a few in 98.
I thought which one was the 90? No, I thought that was 99, was it?
So that's 99.
Okay.
So I did 4 races with ME Motorsport with Mike Brain.
Which is this one?
No, the McGow.
Okay, yes, yeah.
So that was like 1,500 quid for a weekend, which he...
Yeah, that was what. So when I raced against Elliot,
doesn't even get you the food to pay for the team, does it?
Yeah, that was the budgets for BARC Renault back then. And then it turned into like budgets of like 150, 200 grand.
But if you look here, you've got all the names on the side: Andrew Marshall, Simon Fremantle, Justin Soden.
Yeah.
Rob Hunt.
Yeah.
All
the names. 100 quid from each of your mates.
It was like 100 quid, and you got me on the grid.
Yeah.
But that was a McGow RC, whatever it was, 90 McGow.
They were pretty good cars, actually, those. But this was a Swift, right?
That was mine. That was mine and Mike's.
And this is what I remember you from.
Yeah.
Because I was running a Martini with GTS, GT Motorsports, or Laranca Engineering, Tom Shepherd.
So I only did a few races in 98. It was a learning curve.
You only did a few races.
I did about 4 or 5.
I remember you were... Coombe, Castle Coombe. That was
well, before that, I was, how should I say it could have been a lot worse. So I went testing on my own with one of Mike's friends. He was in Le Mans running a 24-hour kart race in '98. So I went down to Snetterton. It was a test day. Paul Stewart Racing were testing all the F3s, Formula Renaults. I've turned up with one of Mike's friends, girl who was helping, and strapped myself in for the test. And I'd always had a dodgy solenoid starter motor, click, 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 click. Anyway, went into Russell's chicane, 98, spun. I'm facing Russell, so I've come in, done a 180. Car was... We were learning 98 because it was me running the car.
Yeah.
But we were still trying. Click,
Yeah.
click, click, click. Oh, jeez. A bit embarrassing. Hands up. You know, you see the red flags come out at Russell's. And then this lovely lady turns up in a Transit. You all right, love? I said, I'm so sorry. Don't worry, love. I'll tow you back.
This is the... So whereabouts on the track it is? Yeah,
Russell's,
it's Snetterton.
Russell's.
Right, okay.
So come out of Russell chicane.
I thought this was round Sia for some reason.
Come out of Russell's, go right, left, spun.
Yeah.
I'm facing Russell chicane.
Yeah,
you imagine I'm facing the chicane. And she said, don't worry, I'll tow you back. I said, all right. I'm just about to do this. No, it took me, it was grief to put the crutch straps on. I'll just keep myself in it and I can be bumped in the paddock. It gets a bit emotional, this, but she started towing me. I thought, she's going to go in the back way through Coram or something. She then did a U-turn and then just accelerated. So I'm on full lock. Of course, they haven't got lock. Upside down, dragging me.
No way.
On the hoop.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's then, what I've heard is this scream, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm just in there with fuel pouring out.
Yeah.
When I did the Caribbean, one of the crutch straps was still stuck in there, so I had to ask the marshals, give me a screwdriver to do it. But they got me out, and they tilted the car, and then they just dropped it down, suspension went chink like that. So it was really roll hoop damage and bodywork and that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a write-off or anything, and she was like hysterical and crying and apologetic, and I don't know. It's like I don't know what just happened there.
Yeah.
Paul Stewart Racing said I'd seen you spin, but then we looked again, and we were like upside down in the same spot. We said we know Snetterton's windy, but that was taking the piss. I was like, yeah. But I was like, you know, when you think what happened, and Paul Stewart said, "Come have a coffee. You're right. You're a bit shaken up."
Yeah.
Obviously, Nick Duffield comes over. Oh, you're all right. The old man's like, "You're all right, mate." You know, next thing I know is a phone call. Can we borrow your suspensions?
From where?
So,
who from?
From me. So
yeah, but who was asking to borrow the suspension?
The Duffield.
Yeah, amazing.
So they came down. So basically, I rung Mike up, who's in the mall. You know, he used to call me Trigg. Right, Trigg. So I said, "Hi, Mike. How's it going? How's it going? How's the testing going?" You know, big Mike. You know, and he was a British weightlifting champion. So yeah, he was a strong guy.
Right.
So I said, Mike, been a bit of a problem. So I explained to him what had happened. Trigg, you don't have to lie. I know you're in shock. So where did you go off? No, I didn't, Mike. So what I did was spin the car. I was being towed. Then she did a U-turn, flipped me upside down. And of course, when you're in Le Mans trying to run a 24-hour kart team, you're thinking, poor Keith, because he's gone into shock, making these excuses up. When he saw the car, he put his hand out and hugged me. He said, "I just got to apologise. I can't believe it, because the whole roll hoop, the car was in virtually undamaged condition apart from the wishbone, but the roll hoop was literally just gorged all the way where it's been dragged." And he said, "Oh my God, you were right." I said, "I know I was right. I was in it." But fair play to Palmer's, Jonathan Palmer and Co. Within 7 days, they sorted it out.
Did they?
Yeah. So
I've heard that.
I respect Jonathan Palmer, what he did.
I do, actually, yeah.
The word got around, he's got no budget, this has happened. there's a nice bit of money, get your car rebuilt.
He's very good like that.
Yeah.
It's funny. I heard he's quite a tricky man to work for, in that he's quite demanding, I would say. There's people I know have worked for him for a good number of years, and in my experiences with him, he's a bloody good businessman, and what he's done for the UK circuit, despite you could say about circuit limits and all the rest of that, when he's still trying to keep his circuit in one piece.
Yeah, but look at F1 now. Put the wheel over. 5 second pack.
Yeah. Well, at least he policed it by putting the sensors out there. This is what the rest of the circuits. They brought in this rule about circuit limits, but
how those
most
sensors
of the rest of
can work and be connected to
it's brilliant.
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. Fair play to it. I mean, whether they should be there or whether it should just be freestyle, well, that it's another argument. But at least he's stuck by invested on stuff that he believed in anyway.
But fair play to him. Helped me out, and the first race back was Castle Combe.
Right, and then
straight in the wall,
straight in at Tower.
And then I remember sitting at the side. And it wasn't that bad, but then I thought, I got motorsport insurance, Bowring Sport and Leisure. So went back to Swift, all new bodywork.
Right.
Went out, did a few races. And then 99 came, which was a great year.
Yeah.
And Martin Donnelly helped me a little bit.
Okay.
There was a guy called Bob. We were testing at, me and Mike went testing at Silverstone March 99. And I remember I was struggling with the front end washing.
Right.
And Mike was very good at, he was still learning the side of single-seaters and helped us out, made a few adjustments, went out. I was on the Silverstone National, a second and a half quicker.
Oh, really?
Mike sorted him out a nice drink for lunch.
Yeah, just made the car, just transformed the car.
Just on the rake, preload. It was too saggy on the front, washing out. Helped out a bit, and
And it went where you wanted it to go.
Where it went. So the opening race in '99 in the Swift, that was we got a top 6. Craig Fleming was with ME. It was pouring with rain, and I got a 6th place at Thruxton. I remember buying the tyres off Martin Donnelly. I rang him up, and he went, "Hello, can I speak to Keith, please?" I rang him up and.
You what, mate?
Yeah, can I speak to Keith, please? Because I left a message with him, and he rang me back at Ferrari. I said, "Oh, hi, I wondered if you got any wets for sale." "Yeah, I got some 50 quid. 50, I'll leave them by the back door." And that was my first introduction to Martin, and I just thought, all these people helping me.
Yeah.
50 quid for a set of wets.
I know, that's unbelievable.
He said, "They've only done a race, there's nothing wrong with them."
Brilliant.
Yeah. So...
Yeah,
put them on the car, got a 6th place, first race, round 99.
Yeah.
That was like winning a championship, because the weekend cost us 300 quid. The Brian James trailer turned up. It was wet.
Right.
And I used to speak to the marshals, and the marshals like, "Oh, it's going to rain, it's coming in from down the west. Get your wets ready." And I remember that race well, and I got Craig Fleming, who was a great driver, 16 at the time. He was racing with ME Motorsport. He did Class B F3, nice guy, Craig, and I got him on the last lap. But it seemed like yesterday, coming out of church, pouring with rain. Yeah, it was a good race, good fun those times.
And then that led us to, back in the day, Club Fiorano. So I suppose explain what Club Fiorano was. So Ferrari, this was kind of the originator of the driving clubs, really. If you look at the blueprint for the other driving clubs, for 100%. Supercar manufacturers that went from there. I mean, we've talked about this with Ray Grimes and stuff. It's like, so what do they want to do? So Ferrari UK, Maranello concessionaires, wanted to do a driving club, and I'm talking about it authoritatively, like I helped to form the club. But I suppose I was just on the instructing team.
Yeah, but you were one of the originals.
Well, I was on the instructing team. They basically put out tender to instructors, and I'd been working at Silverstone for a couple of years, and they said, we want people to come and instruct for Ferrari's driving club, and so it was not just. It started off at Goodwood. There was loads of days at Goodwood. and then it transformed to...
it started at Donington first, because we had the Caterhams, which I ran the Caterhams behind on the old Red Gate.
Was that
section.
Before we went to... Because that's where we did the kind of instructor
then most of the day started at Donington, because I ran those 3 blue Caterhams, do you remember?
Yeah,
that started
that's right.
on the back of Red Gate, on the old loop.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to do that with Paul Combs. Okay, Paul Combs. Yes. Oh, Paul Combs. I haven't seen him for years, but I don't know where he is now. Have you seen him?
No, I haven't.
Old Combs, yeah. So I used to do it with him, and David Piper used to turn up, and it was great fun. Do you remember that instructor Michael Jackson? He was in
Chamon.
Not that Chamon.
Well,
so Michael Jackson, he was in The Love Affair.
Yeah,
he played the bass.
Was that what he was in? Was that what his band was?
Yes, The Love Affair.
I didn't know that.
Everlasting love.
So that's what he did.
And he played the bass.
Right, okay. Here's another name you should look up. So when I used to do Vauxhall training...
Vauxhall Junior? Or?
No, it wasn't linked to that, but it was just like early noughties. We used to go to Bristol Street in Sunderland, Bristol Street, Sunderland, and the sales manager there was a guy called John Watchman, who was one of the, I think he was either rhythm or bass in Love Affair, because he was kind of a session musician and then ended up in Love Affair doing various gigs with Love Affair.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that those guys would have known each other. But it was like, because every time I used to see John, I was like, keep rocking, John. It was that sort of conversation.
Well, and it was that Michael Jackson had the blue 355, and he was in a Love Affair as well. What a small world. So,
the funny thing is, just fast forward a few years to 2007, when I raced in Radicals in 2007, I raced against Ben Jackson.
Okay.
Ben and Michael both raced in Radicals.
Yep.
Michael was pretty steady away, but Ben was pretty quick. He'd fire it off occasionally.
Okay.
And just coming back to
so
my last
Michael
podcast.
Did Radicals, did he?
Sorry?
Michael went into Radicals?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did it for maybe 2 seasons.
Okay.
He wasn't that quick, to be fair, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying that. Well, maybe he would, but anyway, but Ben was quicker. But they were supported by a guy called John Miskin, who now looks after Jake Hill in terms of a lot of the commercial interests, and I'm guessing the negotiations. Who knew my dad from like 1972? That my dad worked with him 1972 from back in the day. But anyway, I do remember Michael Jackson. I had a conversation. Do you know who member number 1 was?
I do, and I forgot. It wasn't Duncan.
No, it wasn't Duncan Barber. It was Nick Pink. Nick Pink, who had an F40. Now, here goes fast forward a conversation. It was a bit of an embarrassing conversation at Donington, I think it was, or maybe Silverstone. I can maybe. So I'm talking with this fellow who's in Silverstone, and I haven't seen. It's like, he says, you used to be one of the instructors at Club Fiorano, didn't you? I was like, yeah.
Tony.
Oh, yeah, I remember you. And so I was like, I remember Tony Jones. I remember Duncan Barber. I remember, Right,
Jane, where's my cigarette?
Here, lads, my cock is so clean. Sorry. Oh, God. Jesus, no uncut. Hopefully Duncan Barber doesn't see this.
He was brilliant. I remember I used to strap him in, and I'd be, why see you there, Keith? But I went...
Take 20 quid, like, you've done a great job today, mate.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Lovely. I went to his 60th. But I used to detail his cars, and Jane was so hospitable, and Duncan, and just really nice people.
Back to this conversation I've having with this fellow, and it's, remember Duncan Barber, remember Tony Jones. I said, I remember Nick Pink. I remember Nick Pink had a Ferrari F40, and I remember sitting next to him going at down the Kemmel Straight and feeling like I'm going to the moon. He said, yeah, that was me. So I'm like, you're Nick, aren't you? But he was a good driver, Nick, and he raced.
He's doing Formula One, a bit of history.
Yeah, historic Formula One, and like Lola he had at the time. Real nice fella.
He's a nice fella. I'm trying to think.
Anyway, let's
think of some more.
Just kind of back to the description of the thing.
Yeah.
So we should talk about the guy who was in charge of it.
Yes.
Who was Peter Gethin. So there's you. Well,
there's Stubbsy and there's David Piper in the car with his false leg, which I actually went out in that car a bit later with a fuel leak and a guy in his sort of 80s with a false leg round Alton Park, and I was wondering whether I'd, come back. But that was good.
David Piper, Le Mans racer.
Le Mans racer, yeah, he lived down the road.
Did he win Le Mans or something?
No, I'm not too sure. He's done a lot, Carlisle. He's won a lot of world sports car stuff. He's had some lovely cars.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one of them. Oh, that was I'll tell you when that was. That was in, just had my wisdom tooth out, and that was 2001. That was the 4th of September 2001, just before 9/11.
That was your birthday?
That was my birthday.
Oh,
and that
really?
was down in Monza.
Yeah.
Paul Nash was there. There's Phil.
Yeah, Phil Rainford and Shirley.
That seemed, Shirley, bless her, she was there as well.
I should thank them both. Thank you guys for sending the photos through.
Phil. No, superb. Look how thin I was.
So he used to work for Pirelli. So Phil was a kind of our Pirelli guy.
Oh, they were great. But they were enthusiastic, and Simon Ford as well.
Have you seen this photo?
Yeah, I
they sent me
this,
through.
yeah.
Yes,
my favourite. It's my favourite. Yeah.
Nikki and Shirley.
Yeah, and I forgot the girl on the left. She worked with us for a bit.
Nikki Mears in the background.
There's Nikki, and what's her name? Oh, I forgot a blank. Nice, all nice people. I just forgotten the girl.
Rebecca. Yeah.
Rebecca. Yeah. But that was good. There you are.
That's Eminem.
There you are, Eminem. Yeah, rolling.
But look at the team.
Look at Wizzo trying to take my cap off. Oh, Barry Williams.
Yeah. Well, let's zoom in on that as much as we can. So we've got. Oh God, allow me to zoom in.
There's Jamie Wall. Looks like he's been tangoed.
Where's Jamie?
He's always a bit orange at the back.
Oh yeah, that Jamie
Wall.
He
was always sponsored by Red Bull, didn't he? Wherever you went,
that's
he'd bring crates of Red Bull.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Phil Andrews.
So Florida Phil,
straight line 3000 driver.
Straight line
Phil.
Testing.
Is that Kev Garrity or no? That might not be actually. Sorry.
There's Colin Bowl.
Yep, Colin Bowl. I've done a bit
Wizzo.
of star.
There's.
Yeah, so Barry Williams, very well-known racer.
Now,
Simon Durrell, who's sadly with us anymore.
Poor Simon. He raced the Legends, didn't he?
Yep, correct, he did.
Yeah,
Anthony Cheshire, who races FF Corsa.
Oh, hi guys, well done a great job, everybody. Yeah.
And on the left-hand side, we've got Richard Atwood.
Just never aged, looks exactly the same now. Legend, Richard Atwood. And there's
Le Mans winner.
Le Mans winner, Porsche 917.
Yeah.
1971, wasn't it? 71?
I don't know. He was a Porsche driver, I know that much.
Red car, and did the filming for Le Mans as well.
Right, oh, did he?
And he had that highest mileage Peugeot estate, didn't he?
Right.
Was it an estate like million miles? But I learned a lot from Richard about smoothness. So just taking little bits, what I'm saying about people there. Mm-hmm. Who was taking the picture? Peter. He's not in it.
No, Pete. Well, we'll come on to Peter in a
So
little
there
bit.
you are behind Steve.
Yeah, I'm hiding
Steve.
behind. Eugene O'Brien, former touring car racer.
Eugene, there's Bobby Davro.
Yeah.
There he is.
Ray Grimes.
Hey up, lads. Are you all right, mate?
Grimes. And then we've got Nick Padmore and Keith Padmore, his dad.
Who's the godfather to our son Christopher.
Yeah. Right.
So good old Keith.
And Nick, prolific, FIA
10-time F1 world champion in it. So laid back, isn't he, Nick?
Yeah. Good driver.
Used to race with Maxi Jazz in Fiestas.
Okay.
But we used to have some great times.
Goodwood looking exactly the same as it does now. So they were back in the days when 360s were new, so that dates it there. And then you got
none of those Maserati
3200 twin turbo.
Yeah, they were quick. Look at that. There's Bobby. There's Ray. There's Richard Atwood, and there you are again.
Yeah,
with the blonde.
Yeah, the bleach blonde.
The bleach blonde.
Back in the day. So now
Peter,
we're on
there's
to
Nick Pink.
Pete. Ah, yeah, there is Nick Pink.
Peter tended to hold the umbrella up for a lot of people, didn't he? Bless him. So
we should talk about Peter. So Peter Gethin, 1971, Monza Grand Prix winner.
And a BRM P160.
Which is still the closest, this is what we were Googling, just checking. It's still the closest ever race in Formula One.
And there's Jochen Mass on the right.
Yep.
I had lunch with him once at Goodwood. What an amazing person. Like, just having a chat. And you know what? Back in the day, and he was just brilliant. He just used to tell the stories, and such a nice guy. And I said to him, to break the ice, because I was sitting at the table, he said, is anyone sitting here? And his daughter sat down and we're chatting. I said, I remember when you came to Monza. I remember that day, yeah. You know what? I don't think I got paid for that day.
Amazing.
But he was really nice to talk to. It wasn't like, don't talk to me, I'm Jochen Mass. He would like...
Yeah, just one of the boys.
Really nice guy.
But
really
Peter,
nice.
we should talk about Peter.
So Peter started at... Well, there he is in the McLaren. But Peter started...
He was the replacement for Bruce McLaren when Bruce
He was there on the
McLaren
day,
was
wasn't
killed.
he? He was there on the day in the pit.
Oh, was he?
Apparently he was going to get in the car, if I
Really?
remember rightly. But Peter started life as a jockey, came from a jockey family.
I didn't know that.
And I think he's Richard Dunwoody's cousin or nephew.
Really?
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
relation between Richard Dunwoody and Peter somewhere along the line, if I
Right.
remember rightly. But I remember meeting Peter, being introduced to him by Tony Willis when he joined Ferrari in 90. He sort of turned up in 98. And I remember he invited me to come. He said, look, I'd like you to come to Donington. So I went out in a 355. It was a yellow one, manual, and he sat alongside me. And I do remember going for a job ages ago in 96 at Peter Gethin driving school at Goodwood. Peter didn't go out with me, someone else went out with me, so I turned up all looking prim and proper, which probably overdressed again just to do some assessment on track. But I was very erratic. You know, I went down the start finish. I was like trying to drive it like a touring car. And the guy said, if Peter saw you drive like that, he wouldn't be happy. And then I took a step back and I needed to smooth myself out. So then I remember going out with Peter, and I didn't know him that well. I just remember going, silky smooth. He said, I like your smoothness, but I'll never forget how erratic I was. Mike sacked me from the kart team.
Oh, right. For being erratic?
For being like creepy. I was like all over the place. I was really erratic. You know, really overdriving, and he sacked me for a race, and it made me reflect on my driving, and I came back a lot smoother.
Peter was a really good guy, and in fact, I've dug out some footage of him. This is him back in the day.
That was back in the day.
As a Formula One driver. I mean, you can look up his history. He's Formula 5000 champion, I think. Super quick guy. Only won one race in Formula One, but if you're going to win a race, then you may as well win the closest race in F1 history.
I think he got £10,000 prize money, and I think he spent that at Lake Como at that famous hotel, was it? Whatever they call it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I think that was... Well, he spent a lot of the winnings.
Good lad.
So,
well,
yeah.
I've got a bit of footage. It's only a minute long, but...
Yeah, Francois Sebert, yeah.
No commentary.
Peterson.
So Ronnie Peterson.
In the marques.
So that's Peter Gethin going up the inside there.
That wasn't smooth, was it?
But then he's hung up back on the inside. Out of the parabolic. Look how many cars are together. And then they've got a bit of a slipstream, but there he is across the line. Top 5 within 0.61 of a second, and that's Peter.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I miss Peter because he was such a... There was no fakeness with Peter. He was just a gentleman and a character. And, you know, he opened the doors a lot for me. And when I was racing Caterhams, and Renault and Caterhams, the phone would go and he'd ring up, how are you getting on? You know what you got to do. You know,
oh, really?
Yeah, he'd ring me occasionally just to see how I was getting on. So he helped me a lot. Lovely guy, such a character. Donington Park.
Yeah.
So, I think Nick Gethin, Peter's son, who looks so much like Peter.
Really?
Yeah. Nick's an amazing guy. They came to our wedding. Him and Nicky. Lovely guy. But anyway, Peter. Wow. So Donington Park. I think it was 2001, 2000. I'm turning up with Keith Padmore. We're turning up and there's like a lot of motorcycles, like Dutch plates on German plates. We're like, what the fuck?
So this is a Club Fiorano day.
Club
that's
Fiorano
been booked.
Day.
Yeah.
That's been exclusively booked. But like there's KTMs, Ducatis, Hondas. Yeah. Few hundred turning up. Like they're not just on a tour. Yeah, it looks like they're on a bit of a track day. So Peter turns up in his black Golf with his Peter Stuyvesant cigarette. No, he'd done Hills. He smoked on Hills. And he had the hat on. Turns up red face. Has anyone seen Nicky? I said, Peter, have you seen all the motorbikes? Yeah, he's like, yeah, there's a lot of them. I said, you think of what I'm thinking? Yeah. Nicky, have you got the paperwork? Where's Nicky? Nicky, have you got the paper? It shoots off. Cigarette. I think one went out, another one started. So the word got out. They'd double booked, and Austin's there. Like, I think they might have double booked. So
this is Austin Kinsella, radical champion as well, but
legend,
very quiet.
Very quiet.
Very soft,
anyway, Peter sort of said to me, "What do you think I should do?" I said, "I think." He said, "Well, if I send them home, look at them, they'll bloody kill me." So Peter, and he wasn't the tallest of people. He wasn't. He got up. Was it at the end of the pit lane or something?
It was on the pit wall.
Yeah. He did a mini bob at drivers. We're all here today. None of us want to go home. It's a problem which has happened. Donington has double booked. So how can we resolve this? We want to go on track. You've travelled a long way to go on track. The fairest way, why don't we share it, and we'll take you guys out for a passenger ride if anyone wants one in our challenge car.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, there's all the Club Fiorano members who, yes, they had a lot of wealth and, you know, they're all there with their cars and in the back.
Yeah.
And there's all these bikers from Germany.
Yeah.
And
strapped
Holland,
themselves in like various challenge cars and stuff. Yeah. But they did offer, you remember on the day they were offering to give passenger rides on their motorbikes.
Yeah, but no one took that.
Do you know what, lads? I think we'll leave that.
No, I'll never forget that day because the way Peter turned up and he sorted it. And it wasn't like, oh, we're not having that. Oh, we're not having that. I think Donington must have given everyone a free track day later in the year.
Yeah, or something like that.
How Peter managed to deal with the situation.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I will never forget that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was...
top geezer was
He
Peter.
was a top geezer.
He wrote a letter. I was going to go and coach. I was wanting to go and work in the States. It never actually happened in the end, but he wrote me a letter of endorsement, actually. Anthony's worked with us for a number of years. That was before I let my customer shunt the 360 into the pit wall.
He did one for me as well. Yeah, you're right. He did. I think I had that letter somewhere. But he did one.
Did he?
Yeah, he did one for me for sponsorship and that. So he was very good. He wrote a letter to say Keith's a very respectable driver, very safe pair of hands. Keith. So yeah, Peter would.
Keith, who's knocked over those cones?
So you could never lie to Peter. Well, you tried not to, but he'd find you out. So didn't want to be a grass, but Peter would go, Keith, come on, jump in the car. There was a cone down at the back straight going into Goodwood. So we'd pull over, hazards on. Peter would always do the controls on his drive. You know,
he didn't sleep that well, did he?
He didn't sleep that well.
Yeah.
He didn't sleep that well, but
get agitated about
I used to go out with him, and I remember he'd pull over, hazards on, get out. We'll do the cone. So he'd get out with me, and he was very good on safety. He always said, if you think someone is driving dangerously, I will always back you. So he did. He was brilliant. So I remember getting out the car to put this cone up. Peter's there, saying all clear. Who was that? I don't know. You do. Was it Eugene? Because Pete would have the hazards on, and then all of a sudden Eugene. And it's when who was that? You know, it's the way he said it, and you know.
I don't know, Peter.
I don't know. You do. And it's when he goes, like, falls in, was it Eugene? And gives me the wink, like, I like the fact you don't want to dob your mates in.
Funny geezer.
And
there you guys are, 20 years later, rockers getting the band back together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely people.
Oh, there's Bobby Davro.
Yeah.
Hey up, mate. All right, mate.
I've got to get Ray in to talk about politics.
Well,
Ray, him and Howard to talk about politics.
He designed a crash helmet.
Yeah.
In 2000 on a napkin.
You know, he designed the TOCA logo, the original Touring Car Association logo. Yep, he did the original TOCA logo. So it was like in a square block, wasn't it? He did the original TOCA.
Phil Rainford, there was Shirley on the right. She used to do all the photos. They were Pirelli.
Still does do the photos.
Still does the photos. They were very loyal to Peter, and Peter was loyal to them. Yeah. So they'd always come. That was the good days. Club Fiorano was amazing days.
Yeah, it was great. And I should add, pretty much the framework of that was transferable to, as I said, every supercar program from there.
Everyone,
you know,
when I hear McLaren, he was the founder.
Aston Martin.
He was...
Yeah, and it was pretty much the same. You'd have experiences, and then you'd have like a coaching thing, and that's how it was for the structure of that. Went on to those clubs that
Eddie Van Halen
still
invented finger tapping.
Yeah.
Peter Gethin invented
the
supercar,
the driver club.
He was the
premium, the supercar
I don't think he gets
drivers experience.
Enough. So Peter, God bless your soul, you were the founder, and a lot of people, you know, learnt. And also Ferrari.
Yeah.
So Peter was Club Fiorano.
Yeah.
And then Ferrari said, "Oh, we like that. We'll take that over."
Yeah,
and
took it in board.
Fiorano Ferrari, and of course Peter was running to a budget through Stuart Robinson at Ferrari UK.
Okay.
What he did, but you think the membership was £3,000, which is the price of 2 slicks nowadays in GT racing or whatever. And you'd get your race suit, you'd get the Club Fiorano
leather
Del Boy filer.
Yeah.
And you got the helmet, the suit.
That's right.
All the gubbins. Yeah.
That's an absolute bargain, isn't it?
It's a bargain.
So Peter gave you a bit of guidance for Caterham Racing.
Yeah, Peter guided. Well, I'll tell you who gave me some guidance was Eugene's brother, Mike O'Brien.
Oh, yeah.
So obviously back in the day when Button had hit it the big time, Jensen Button, you know, there was this sort of F3 was a bit dull in the late 90s, wasn't it? It was a bit sort of no one moving. Then all of a sudden, Button signed Williams. Whoa!
That's it, yeah.
And then budgets went up, everything went up. I tried to get a Class B F3 drive with Team Meritus. Mm-hmm. And it was only 15 grand for 2 rounds, and you think, well, that's not bad, actually.
Yeah, nowadays
it's probably 150 grand for 2 rounds.
Yeah.
But then I went to Speed Sport at Silverstone, Mike O'Brien, and he said, I don't want to take your money, Keith. Why don't you go and do some GT stuff? It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And Caterham's is good. And he mentioned Caterham's. I'm like, Caterham's? Anyway, I then was at home I was still trying to get budgets for Formula Renault Sport. Okay, the new Formula Renault Sport, the Tatus, wasn't it, chassis?
You're looking at 150, probably 200.
No, back then, Mike Brain was doing it for 60 in 2000 when it came out.
In BARC or in the main championship?
No, that was in the main.
Right.
But that was cheap, 60 grand. Because you had John Booth, Manor.
Yeah, they would have been 100-ish,
Carlin,
I think,
and all that.
Yeah.
There was other teams. And So I was going for the Yellow Pages, and this is how the Caterham thing happened. I was living in Camberley at the time. I was going for the Yellow Pages, and I swear this is what happened. I sort of went like that because I was just ringing everyone. It was some computer company. So I rang up and asked for some sponsorship. He said, look, we don't sponsor, but one of our clients or friends or whatever, competitors, whatever, they said they sponsor a Caterham team. I said, Caterham? Okay. So it was Taran Microsystems.
Ah, okay.
So I was introduced to Taran through me going through the Yellow Pages. So that's how I got the sponsorship.
Wow.
So a guy called Andy Miles, I rang him up and I just became so persistent. I rang him when he was on holiday in Portugal. I rang him when he was in the sea. I just rang him and hagged him and said, I really want to drive. He said, okay, come to Donington for a test. So I went out in that car, which was a 98 chassis, or 99 chassis, and it was 2001. Went out and I think I went 2/10 off the time. And I think Eugene was involved a little bit at the time in Taylor's Foundry,
right?
Motorsport, who ran the team. Yes, there we are.
It's another one of your high quality shots that you sent me there, Keith.
So the first one was the Road Sport,
which is the one that from Alton Park, the race. In fact, let's get that up.
Alton Park. So I had a great season in Road Sports in 2001.
Let's get that up.
There I am.
Yeah.
There we are.
Is that Road Sports, is it there?
That's Road Sports, yeah.
Keith Robinson and John Hughes line up on row 2 of the grid. And Jason Sutherland and Martin Gregory behind them on row 3.
Big crowd, isn't it? Check out the motors.
With the camera starts in 9th place.
Fraser Gibney. He was a laugh. So when I first went testing at Snetterton, I said, why is he bringing all his work? Why is he always on his laptop? And they said, I was checking his data. I went, hey? Has my car got that? And they went, no. I was like, all right, okay.
Well, he's got Martin Walker coming
Love it.
him, but
there we are.
of the grid, Jamie Derbyshire around the nose.
Jamie Derbyshire, I didn't realise he did that. Barry Horn.
Paul Kite. No, Barry Horn's up in the lead. He turned up.
Is that you that's you in front there? I used to race against Barry Horn in karts.
Big bazzer.
Yeah.
Quick.
Good lad, yeah.
Yeah, top bloke.
Right down in the back there, the 42 car, Neil Davis, already picked up 1 place on the grid.
But these were 30-minute races.
Really?
J.M. Littman.
I'm going to fast forward this a little bit.
Fast forward it a little bit up to about here, I think.
Yeah. So a little bit later in the race, then. Hey up.
Go back a little bit more.
What happened there?
That's it.
Throttle to steer the car.
Oh, this is good. Right. Battling for Barry.
Is this you? Is that Barry in the lead? Is it
Yeah.
you then? Right, and that's you chasing him down, is it?
Look, I'll do the Mansell left to right. Ready?
Love it.
Looking to make a move. Horn takes the inside line on the right-hand side of the racetrack, the left-hand side of the pit.
Great fun to race these cars, eh?
He holds on, but for how long?
There's Derbyshire in the spirit.
Yeah. I raced with Jamie. You know when I said Dubai 24, that was with Jamie as well.
There goes Barry.
Buzzer, exit stage, exit the opposition, as Michael Nippers would say. So does that lead you in the lead then, is it?
So what had happened, if we go back a little bit more. So
Jamie Derbyshire, winner of the race on Saturday, in a very tough battle here on Sunday, as was the case on Saturday, and with all the same guilty culprits as well. Barry Horn leads.
if we go back a little bit, I'm trying to remember where.
This is nicely prepped.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll tell you what happened. So during the race, I overshot the chicane, came down at Knickerbrook.
Right.
Went through, but when I rejoined, the car was still moving.
Yeah.
They said in the morning briefing that you had to bring it to a complete halt.
Yeah.
But I lost 3 places, so I dropped all the way back.
Yeah.
And came back and won the race, and then they gave me a 10-second penalty.
So this is you going to go.
So I'm going to take it. So I literally dropped back.
Yeah.
Won fair and square.
Yeah. Yeah, fair and square. It's a good old win. And then because you didn't come to a stop.
There's Big Bazza.
Did Barry win it that yet?
No.
Exciting stuff from the two Tiger Stripe cars, but bad news for Keith Robinson. Handed a 10-second penalty.
10-second penalty, Keith.
So it's victory for Mark.
So if I protest that, but the team sort of, there was a mechanic who said, "Yeah, you won't win if you protest it. Don't bother." And I should have done, because they would have looked at the footage and gone, "You know what? He lost 3 places. He lost." I literally put my hand up when I rejoined. It was clear.
Yeah.
But then I had the championship with the last lap to go at Brands Hatch, and Ben Edwards was commentating, and the prize was a brand new Superlight, and I had it in my bag, and I just outbraked myself at Druids, let Paul Kite go through, then we drew them tied on points.
Yeah.
Then it went on a count back, and of course I didn't win at Alton, did I?
No way.
So really.
So Paul Kite ended up winning that.
No, not Paul Kite. Martin Gregory.
Martin Gregory, wasn't it? Really?
But then I did all right in Superlights. Came third in Superlights. That's when I was introduced to the famous Dillon Battistini.
Yeah, that's funny.
Which we'll talk about him.
Talk a little bit about this. How did this whole thing come about?
Okay,
so this is
so
British GT.
British GT. That was Ben Edwards helped. Ben put my name forward. I mean, I always liked Ben Edwards as a commentator. Fantastic. We did some races. I raced against him at Le Mans in the Pro Kart race. Drivers, a race pro. And he was racing for Team Eurosport, I think.
Do you want a drink? Are you all right with a drink? You say you've got your drink.
I got a water.
Oh, yeah.
We can we'll have a drink soon, yeah, whatever.
But, yeah.
So Ben Edwards, you could see I was very upset at Brands Hatch, and he interviewed me after. I was actually, to this day, I still can't get over I made an error. Even to a point where Paul Kite was in front of me and he said, "Why don't you should have just tapped me out of the way." I didn't realise, if I'd known you would have got the championship, you should have just pushed me, because he was in no contention and he wanted me to win the championship, but he didn't know, I was in 4th, I needed to get 3rd place, but it was so wet. It was monsoon conditions. It was monsoon, where there was rivers going through Druids and there was yellow flags, and of course I remember slowing right down under a yellow flag and spinning under a yellow because I'd slowed right down, and the river just pulled the car. Whereas going at speed, you'd go through it, but it was so slow. Then I got my position back. Anyway, it was, at the end of the day, it was my fault. But brought me back stronger. But Ben put me forward for the British GTs with Richard Thorne Motorsport, and they contacted me and said, "Oh, your name's been spoken highly from Ben and Belinda. We're doing GT Cup, the first year of GT Cup, and do you want to race our car at Donington?" And that was with Neil Cunningham. So there's a story about the car with no roof. There we are, I've got some high res. Oop. That's better. There we go. Been talking a long time, even the time's come on. Right, number 66. Same number I had in the Superlight. So there's the Morgan there. Aero 8 GT, Richard Thorne Motorsport. No roof. You're wondering why?
Why you have no roof?
On the outlap of the first time it turned a wheel, it literally was built overnight at Morgan. Where are they? Not Buxton. Yeah, no. Where are they again? Morgan.
No idea.
Malvern way.
Right.
And I went and visited the factory, and I thought, I don't know whether it's going to be ready. There's a lot of wood being made, but I remember going out in the car and all this wood filings.
They're wooden.
There's still
chassis.
wood. It wasn't wooden chassis, but there's still parts that it's a Morgan. It's got to have a bit of wood here and here and here. And I'm going out, like a sawmill, going inside my arrow. And then I'm going through Schwantz Curve, right? And all of a sudden, what the fuck? The whole roof just exploded.
Wait, just
compressed. 100 odd yards. Boof. So they'd like tongue-in-cheek sort of
Amazing. Tongue and groove, you mean?
Tongue and groove, sorry.
Yeah.
Tongue and groove.
Yeah.
And because the cabin compressed with pressure, it just went...
Yeah.
And I swear to God, I came through Coppice, I drove in the pit lane, and imagine me going in the pit lane, and they all the crew stared at me, and I just said, "Feels like a caterum now." And they were like, "What happened?" And Mike was there, and he was watching the outlet, and he just saw this roof go like that.
Yeah.
And Belinda Edwards was like the coordinator of British GTs at the time. And they felt so sorry for us, what had happened. They could see, when you're down, why make people further down?
Yeah.
Try and help them. They gave us dispensation to race without the roof.
Fair enough.
So it's probably the only GT car to race. And it was brilliant. And we got on the podium. And
really?
There's the late Neil Cunningham, who I learnt so much from. I mean, learnt a lot from Neil. He gave you some confidence. I was very nervous, and he'd probably done a million races. So I was the new boy, as you can see from the colour of my hair. And it was...
You probably made quite a good team together, I would have thought. Because Neil was a good driver.
We did a couple of races. Neil was a good driver.
And...
He knew how to get a deal. He was good at getting drives.
Yeah.
He was always in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But he had the talk, and he was good at promoting himself. So I certainly learnt a lot from Neil, and also the driving and the encouragement. So we got on the podium. And I got on the podium in my first GT race.
Yeah, that's a good effort.
But then I remember driving the car, and there was a lot of porpoising on the car.
Okay.
And I was like, there's this bouncing. I'm like, is it got flat tyres? So I kept saying it's really like hard, it's sort of bouncing. What had happened is they got pound and newton meters muddled up at the factory, so it had like track springs. Literally, they were so stiff that the damper wasn't doing anything. I was just bouncing on the spring. And also, the calipers were offset, so the pad, I had knock off. So I constantly had to keep pumping the pedal.
Right.
But on practice, on testing, the caliper come off.
Right.
It just fell off.
Oh my God.
Like it lodged and it fell forward or something. But it was a big learning curve for everyone. But it had the 4.4 V8 manual. Great car, great fun. I mean, I actually made it to GTs. That was my dream.
Yeah.
To get to British GTs.
Yeah,
and I was there.
It's funny. Right,
Matt Griffin was in the race with me.
Matt Griff, yeah.
Old Griff.
Yeah, he's a good lad. But the funny thing is, I just remember a funny thing. So back then, you'd raced a Formula Renault, and my boys used to say, "Trigg, all right, Trigg, how's it going? All right, Trigg, how's it going?" Trigg. Now, the funny thing is, right, so what year was this? What, 2000?
That was 2003.
2003. So I remember, I'd done like a couple of radical races. That I raced with Jamie Pickford in a radical enduro.
Yeah.
But I remember coming to a British GT race, and now you may or may not remember this, right? This was at Silverstone,
right?
I think, or maybe it was at Thruxton. Anyway, either way, we came past the awning, and we were just kind of, I don't know who I was with. It might have been with Nick, with Jamie Wall or someone like that. And walking past the hospitality, and I'm looking through the window, and there's you deep in conversation with one of the officials. It might have been like Stefan. I don't even know if Stefan Rattel was running things back then, but he was deep in conversations with one of the GT.
What year was that?
It would have been like 2003-ish. It was the year when it was definitely British GT meeting, and I wandered past, but and I knocked on the hospitality window. I was like, "All right, Trigg." When you're deep in conversation with, like, trying to set up some sponsorship. "All right, Trigg, how's it going?"
Well, that's what it sort of, that all stemmed from when I was at Solomon's, when I was down at the Lamb pub. That's where the name came from. "All right, Trigg." It's a good laugh. And Tom Shepherd and Richard Shaw, the number two people I didn't mention, great, because you know him very well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't seen them for ages, but yeah, he did for that season.
But it was getting back to very quickly getting me on the grid. Tom Shepherd and Richard built an amazing engine. You know, they had those Huger engines, which were like $4,000, but their engines, they just built them. Mm-hmm. And it lasted for two whole seasons.
Yeah. Because they were good engineers.
Because Valvoline sponsored me.
Did they do your engine then,
They did my engine.
So
Valvoline sponsored me, so I could do an oil change every time, even when I did a morning at Mallory Park for 40 quid. I'd go home, change the oil, because I had so much of it, I had to use it. And they let me pay over 6 months, because they knew I was struggling.
Yeah.
Pay us over six. It was 2,600 for the engine.
Right.
Just pay over 6 months, Trigg. And I remember when I used to get the car corner weighted, because I didn't have all the equipment, Tom would say, bring it up, I'll do it in the car park. So I'd turn up with the Brian James trailer in Solihull, wherever it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Turn up.
Earlswood Trading Estate.
Earlswood Trading Estate.
Yeah.
Jimmy was there as well, and Tom would have it all set up, put it on. Yeah, you don't ride the curbs too much. There's still pretty much intolerance, and he'd set it up, give him 150 quid, back on the Brian James, go home. But it was people like them that made racing exciting.
Yeah.
Because it was affordable. But that's why I've probably lost the bug a little bit now, because of pricing and how it's done. But then it was old school. But you were still racing great cars. I mean, those Formula Renaults, those GTs.
And it led to your...
That was Hector Lester. Yeah, so we moved on to Glen Varrigal. Hector Lester let me drive his car. Got some good results.
360, was that a GT?
No, that was just a challenge.
Challenge car.
So we should have, that was Castle Combe. We should have come second in that, but I lost about a minute where Hector undid.
What championship is this?
British GT.
British GT again, right, okay.
So I did the 6 hour at Spa, and it was British GT. We're going to Spa, 6 hour in a Ferrari, Spa. I mean, practice was monsoon conditions. I was flying around, loving the wet, and that's another thing. Bob Pope helped me with wet weather stuff, so I used to thrive in the wet. Loved it. And we shared with the World Sports Car Championship.
Right.
So it's pouring rain, going through Eau Rouge. I got Christensen, Johnny Herbert, Johnny Giacotto, whatever it is, flashing lights like that. I'm like, whoa. I go for Eau Rouge, and they go either side of me. I'm like, whoa. You constantly got pickup and all that. It was great racing.
Yeah.
And there was a really good friend of mine who I still keep in touch with, Rob Darrant. Amazing guy, really good. He helped me a lot with website, and very good at coaching, very good. He was great in caterhams, and I got him a drive in a British GT in that Renault Clio.
Right.
A V6 rear engine one, Clio 2.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Silver one. Ben, I can't remember the name of the team. But I remember Rob was doing like a 3 hour stint. It was such a short wheelbase to drive that he was going up Kemmel Straight, and when he come down, he had no energy, so he literally just took his hands off the wheel and it went straight in the gravel and said, that's it, I can't do anymore. Because I watched him through Eau Rouge, and it's such a short wheelbase.
Yeah.
It was the Clio V6. And you think, we're out with world sports cars.
Yeah.
And they loved the car so much, the Belgians just pushed him back out. Go, on your way.
I don't want
He's
to.
like, I don't want to.
Yeah, I've given enough.
So that was great. But no, that was Hector Lester in the 360. Had some good results there.
Looks like a random track there in the middle of the
year.
year.
Popped up, went from Ferrari
That's
to...
the Ron Haslam school, isn't it?
That's Rocket Ron.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
Mike. Who's Mike? He used to speak like
Edmund,
that.
no.
Not
Mike
Edmonds.
Yeah, Mike Edmonds, yeah.
All right, mate. How's it going? You all right? Yeah. So it's Mike Edmonds. My old Edmonds got me on it.
Yeah.
So that was good. Bit of track day. There's the Noble. That was...
Yeah. So you moved over into Britcar now.
So
then?
I did a bit with in the 355 challenge. Got a few podiums in 355 challenge in Britcar.
Yeah.
But then look at that. I was locked the rear end up on that. I was leading. Barry Horn was in that race as well. So yeah, we put it on second on the grid, led the race, and then the car started to choke up with the fuel was melting the seals in the fuel system, and it just started getting slower and slower. We got it to the end, but it was running like 5 to 8 seconds off the pace. But that was a good car. That was a Lee Noble So another guy, that was the M15 at Goodwood. I took that up the hill.
Nice.
So I helped develop the M15. So Lee Noble, another guy I've got to thank, opened the doors for me. Knocked on his door. I'd like to drive your car. Come in, chap. We just started talking about Jimmy Page, Rory Gallagher, rock music, and working with a legend. And I loved working with Lee, and took the car to Top Gear whilst Lee was trying to sell the company, and dealt with the guys at Top Gear, Hammond, Clarkson and May. Had some great times in that car. Sadly, that never went in production, the M15. That was a great car. £75,000 that would have been. So then we got...
Are you moving back onto Britcar then now?
Back onto Britcar. So in 2009, that was the 24-hour, which I won. In 2010, that was a good race. I did about 12 hours of driving in that.
Did you?
I did 2 hours under the safety car, and that was the hardest part.
Back to the karting endurance days, the mentality of that.
So that's where
transferable.
Getting back to Bob quickly, 94 Clay Pigeon open day, 120 drivers, monsoon conditions all weekend. Drivers, everyone's on slicks. It's the same for everyone. That is where I learned how to race in the wet.
Yeah.
And I got
whenever it's raining, go out on
£6 grand
slicks.
prize money. I got up to third place in the final, and the back straight of Clay went into the hairpin. Someone just T-boned me, and I know I could have won it, but I was using lines out, and I was on slicks. And to be fair to Bobby, he said it's the same for everyone.
Yeah, it's where you learn.
So yeah,
and there you go.
So I think that actually helped, and that was what introduced
transferable
me to
across to GT racing and
GT racing. So that was the 24-hour.
Is that the win there?
That's the win there. Yeah, that was the win. So that was thanks to Whit Gamsky, who owned MJC. Also introduced me to my lovely wife. Him and his wife introduced me to lovely Natalia. We'll talk about that later.
Anyway, I'm quite keen to get away from racing cars and onto rock and roll, actually.
Rock and roll. So there's Whit. So that was Castle Combe on the left.
Oh my God, sorry.
That was Castle Combe on the left. We won that race. So I would say Combe was my favourite race.
Turned into from the race where you had the incident in the Formula Renault.
It did. So the first circuit I went on was Castle Combe with a guy called Terry Zanger, who was a chief instructor in '93, and I took my Ford Capri there, and it was Terry that told me all about Quarry.
Right, yeah, the famous
and to
Quarry
me,
corner.
Quarry was the easiest corner because Terry just said, when you're coming down, when you bring it over the crest, don't try and bring it over to the left. Yeah. Just over and literally smooth. And I remember that race, I was a lap down. I got bolted on the safety car. I was a lap down in second place with 20 minutes to go, one lap behind Steve Brady in the Pro Sport 3000. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. So I had to unlap myself and catch him up. But he'd lost 2 gears.
Oh, okay.
But I had 20 minutes to do it.
Right.
When I mean Nigel Mansell, and I could hear Brian Jones commentating.
Yeah.
The late Brian Jones.
Up high and proud. What was it? He used to say.
I can't remember, but he was another great guy around the paddock. Really helped me a lot and gave me encouragement. But I was on fire on those last 20 laps.
And you caught him down and you took the win.
Did it on the last lap. And it was a massive crowd. And I remember Quarry Corner just going, 6th gear, smooth on the brake, just rolling it on. And then, but anyway, Castle Combe, a big crowd, always brings out the crowd.
Yeah, it does, yeah. Great
anyway,
place.
rock and roll.
Yeah, rock and roll, yeah.
Rock and roll.
This is meeting the famous Brian Johnson from ACDC.
Hello, mate, what's fucking going on here then? That was it, basically. So, Queen's Road, London, 2015, I think it was. Obviously I used to do my valeting. was doing some work for, you can see it there. I'm going to tape it up like program. Dealership called HRO, and a huge dealership. So we had something called a pop-up cinema in King's Court down the Queen's Road. We had some Maseratis on display. I'm standing up against the bus stop, people watching. I can't do much of that, can I? Scroll through the Nokia. So I'm just people watching. No word of a lie, Danny. No word of a lie, yeah? I've just gone, Brian, is that you? He's carrying 2 Sainsbury's shopping bags.
Oh, did he live locally? They must live locally.
I think he did. I think he's got a place in the Queen's Road, but he had 2 Sainsbury's shopping bags with his wife. And, hello, mate, what's fucking going on here then? And that was the first thing he said. All right, Brian, hello, mate. And just stopped. That was it.
Yeah.
I said, I saw you at Milton Keynes Bowl 2001. You poor bastard. Because it's not much of a venue, is it?
Yeah.
And I said, how's Malcolm Young, the late Malcolm Young, Angus's brother? Because he was had Alzheimer's quite bad.
Right.
He was quite ill. He was very ill. And he said, not good me, old lad, not good me, lad. So I wished him well with that because, he was Malcolm Young was one of the main songwriters of AC/DC, but he wasn't well at the time, but Brian spent about just came, put his shopping
a lovely
bags
fella.
down.
So he's literally just stopped in the corner talking.
And as you know, you've
I did one session with him when Sky TV did a TV program called The Race. Steve Deeks put it on. Funny enough, he put a picture of it on. It was 20 years ago now.
Deeksy.
It's called the Race, and so he turned up.
He had his gloves, didn't he? He said he's quite thorough.
I can't remember.
Gloves.
He had his racing gloves with him because most of the others, it was their first time. And I had him and Nick Moran from the card player from Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah.
And there was quite a few others like Miss Dynamite.
That's it.
Ingrid Tarrant, Chris Tarrant's wife.
Yeah.
Nigel Ben. Nigel Ben. He turned me upside down. In fact, I'll tell you where that came from randomly. I said, Nigel,
Brian Svensson?
Super... Sven was having fights with him. Seriously.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sven was getting stuck into it because he was I got your number. Really, really nice fella. But he picked me up. Now I tell you what led to this.
Yeah.
I said, Nigel, big fan. Do you mind if I have your autograph? So he signed this thing. I said, can you make it Love Chris Eubank? Of course, that was like red rag to her. But would you say? When he gets the white of his eyes like this. Would you say? Yeah. Would you say? And just like the 2 lads are now with Connor Ben and and Eubank Jr. Anyway, and he picked me up and tipped me upside down and was shaking me in the pit lane.
Yeah.
Anyway, on the same event, I met Brian and I just did an hour's coaching with him, and then I took him round for a fast ride at the end, and he signed his autograph and he said, thanks for making my nose go like a rabbit's arsehole.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Super.
Thanks for making my arsehole go like a rabbit's nose.
Yeah. He was lovely. He was lovely.
That band still has the biggest selling album.
Yeah. Biggest selling debut album as well for a new singer.
Oh, was it?
Well, I think, he had big shoes to fill.
I think between that and I think Thriller is somewhere up there, and Bat Out of Hell is somewhere up there. I think it's Back in Black, and then Bat Out of Hell. But yeah, Keith.
Right, what is this?
Keith Robinson from
look, there's the photographers. So you're all looking.
Who's that bloke? Yeah.
So what we got here? Right, so this is Mercedes Benz crew. So there's lovely Jenny Wolfries. She's a manager, customers, looks after customers, in charge of, she's quite a senior in booking people on the day and looking after things, making sure things run smoothly. Great with customers, customer service. That's myself. So she was basically, you're probably wondering what's going on. To the left-hand side, you'll see a Mercedes 600.
I think we might have a picture of that somewhere. Hang on.
Right, there we are.
Right.
Hola, 600E. So, my friend Jack O'Brien, just on the right there. We all work at MB World, and that's me as George Harrison's chauffeur on the left.
Funny.
Yeah, and that's actually George Harrison's car. That's the famous one used in the movie when George pulls up and they all get out the cars at Apple Corp. So George gets out, shuts the door. John gets out in a white Rolls Royce with Yoko, goes downstairs.
So when they play the final rooftop gig.
Yeah, so that's the exact car. So that's got the original leather in it, untouched.
Wow.
Which, to me, I actually drove that onto the Transporter. That just drove beautiful.
Yeah.
Not over-restored on the bodywork, but the interior, you'd never want to touch it. You just want to clean it with some pear soap. So Jack was pretending to be George Harrison, and this was Savile Row Concourse.
Wow.
And the amount of people that were there, Jimmy's photographer, Hendrix's photographer from the early years.
Do you want to hear something really random?
Go on.
You remember Silverstone Sid?
Yes.
As in the fire tender used to follow in his red Jaguar.
Yeah.
Once at Silverstone, I remember. I can't remember how the conversation went. We were stood in the paddock talking of Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
And he said, "You know what? I was the ambulance driver that picked up Jimi Hendrix when he had his overdose." Because he would have been an ambulance driver before he became a fire tender, and he was like emergency services driver.
So that was
and
the
on
18th
call.
of September 1970.
Oh God, how do you remember that?
Because I've been to the room in which Jimmy passed away.
Ah, really?
It's just down the road from my Auntie Maria in Holland Park. So Maria showed me. And then
Silverstone Sid, the famous Silverstone Sid.
So
was
I know
driving
the
that
story
ambulance.
about the ambulance crew turning up. Yeah, it's There's a lot of stuff about Jimmy. Why there was such a long delay before?
Are you going to go on to your random conspiracy theories?
But
Keith, let me just tell you. Keith tonight has brought in. What was your CIA theory with printed out CIA about John Lennon's death and about
the CIA? The CIA files.
It's amazing.
There's the CIA files on Lennon. There's actually a book on it. But yeah, we got the CIA files and. Jimmy, there's loads of stuff you hear, but...
Did you bring the JFK files with you?
No, the Trump's got them. They're coming out shortly, so he said he's going to release those files. So we have to wait and see.
Tell us about this fella.
Okay, this fella, these two legends. So, getting back to my late Auntie Maria. So, this is Gordon Giltrap. He's one of the world's greatest acoustic prog rock guitarists. Amazing albums, Perilous Journey, Fear of the Dark. So my Auntie Maria gave me an album called Fear of the Dark. She gave it to me in 82. Her friend gave it to her and she gave it to me. A drummer called Simon Phillips is on there who drums with Toto. Then eventually drummed with Townsend on all his solo stuff with Pete Townshend in the middle.
But for the uneducated,
so Pete Townshend from The Who, Steve Deeks, one of your heroes, lovely guys. And Gordon on the right, who's a dear friend who I still keep in touch with, and another one of my heroes from when I was a young guy, and to actually meet Gordon and introduce Pete and Gordon together, who they both idolised each other. So when I spoke to Pete, I said, have you come across a guy called Gordon Giltrap? Yes. Have you listened to this album? He's great. Pete won't compliment, he'll go, yeah, or he won't reply. But he replied and said, listen to this album, Perilous Journey. So we shared the same love of this album, Fear of the Dark, which I loved, and I think Pete must have gone, oh, great, Gordon Giltrap fan.
So give us a story of how you met Pete Townshend, because you got to go to a few backstage gigs.
So that was cleaning a car. See, valeting's a good thing. It was a good job to have at the time.
Yeah.
So
particularly valeting Ferraris is probably quite
Ferraris.
useful.
So a friend of mine, Andy McGrath, late Andy, another guy who helped me out a little bit when I went self-employed. He said, Keith, I need you to come down and clean a car for me. It was the 550 Barchetta. I looked at the spec. He said, it's for a VIP, very important person you might know. And I just went, Pete Townshend? Correct. Like that, correct, yeah.
How did you know it was Pete Townshend's car?
Because the spec, because Pete had some 575s and in the blue Tour de France, the tan. So it's a similar spec. So I was cleaning. He said he's coming in. He's going to be with me about 6 o'clock. I'd finished the car at 4 o'clock. It was mint, but I thought I was just lying there cleaning the calipers. Right. Another bit of and this black Range Rover turns up, and this presence walks through with a long coat. All right. Yeah. Oh, do you want to see Andy? Okay. He just walks upstairs. So I got chatting to his bodyguard, who we got on really well, Mark. Really nice guy, lovely guy. And then, Andy was upstairs doing the deal. And then I think Pete offered Andy, if you are interested, maybe pop into... I could try and get some tickets for Quadrophenia because it was the Teenage Cancer Trust. And I'm going to tell you something which is so, so true. This is as true as it comes. I was trying to get tickets for The Who that week before I'd even known that Pete Townshend had bought that car.
Right.
I went to the Albert Hall to watch them Crooked Vultures with Josh Homme and Dave Grohl, that supergroup, them Crooked Vultures. And it was brilliant, but I wanted to go and see The Who, but it was impossible. I had no idea Townsend was turning up. And then he came downstairs and he said, I hear...
You're a bit of a headbanger.
A bit of a headbanger. But he said, well, I'll try and thank you so much for doing the car. It looks wonderful.
Yeah, I particularly like how clean these calipers are.
These calipers are very clean. But then I walked him up the banking at Brooklands.
Yeah.
On Avro Way, and I'm when you...
Because you were on the Brooklands trading estate.
In trading estate, right behind where Avro Cars was the banking. Yeah. And, when you got to pinch yourself, it was getting dark, it was 7:30 by the time I'd finished cleaning them calipers. It was 7:30, and I'm walking up the banking. I'm standing there going, this is Pete Townshend out The Who. In the middle of an industrial estate going, what? And people raced on this, and he's taking an interest. Yeah. And then he sent a really nice email and got some tickets, and then, we became friends since. So, but it was nice to introduce Gordon as well. So I took Gordon to the show at Birmingham. And Gordon was one of the last people to ever interview John Entwistle at his house, so he's very close to John. Right. And
bass player from The
Who. But Pete was very much I'd loved Gordon's work, and Gordon very much loved Pete's work. But they never actually worked together. But to hear them chatting, and I remember Pete going, "This is Gordon Giltrap," in front of all his friends. So he really appreciated Gordon's work, and I did, but it's funny how it all came together.
Funny that.
From my Auntie Maria giving me an album back in 1982, Fear of the Dark. Great album, check it out. And there's a story behind it. The font of Gordon Giltrap was taken from Nico McBrain, Iron Maiden. Right. So the font, that Iron Maiden font, right, the famous Iron Maiden, that font came from Gordon's work.
Oh, really?
Because Gordon had that font early on, and I think the drummer, Nico McBrain, whatever, the drummer of Iron Maiden, did a few songs with Gordon, played on his albums, and I always feel that sort of came over and the Iron Maiden. So there's always a connection within music.
Connection within. Well, it's funny how motor racing and music have a lot of swap over, because George Harrison was obviously a big F1 fan. And there's a lot of people. I remember randomly talking about a Caterham. We were doing a day at Brands Hatch, and Chris Rea is there in his Caterham. Rant just going around. And I'm
he's a Ferrari man. He had a 365 GTC, lightweight at Maranello's. Used to drive his car. Used to do hill climbs in it on demonstration. Yeah, he's a nice guy, Chris Rea.
Mad about cars. And this is your good lady,
lovely Natalia. That's
just been pulled by Pete Townshend. Sorry, mate, you've lost out on that one.
So that was we're having a good chat backstage. That was in Cardiff. So that's my lovely wife Natalia, who works at Mercedes. So that's a photographer. I've forgotten his name, but he was the photographer who took all those famous photos of Hendrix when Jimmy came over with Chaz Chandler. And he was, we were having a good chat. And that was all on the scene in Savile Row. So there we are. That was the Taylor Hawkins tribute concert at Wembley. Old Taylor. So Natalia's a big fan as well of music. So we've seen Pearl Jam together.
Yeah,
Foo
nice.
Fighters.
Big unifying thing, music.
The Who many times.
Yeah.
Madison Square was good seeing the Who. So so Natalia's.
You got an invitation to Madison. So you got yourself over. You said I can get you some tickets into Madison Square.
Yeah. Well, it's just like with friends. I remember when I went to pick up some tickets once. They couldn't find the tickets, and I just went to random tickets. But it was on friends and family, which was nice. So
yeah, nice.
And always always got time for you backstage. And as you could see, having a good chat with Natalia, and it's always nice. So there,
and that kind of brings us up to where you're at now, really, I suppose. Then so
this is sort of now. This was Speed of Thrill.
What are you doing there? You're doing like a filming job or something?
So no, it was the launch. World of Thrill. It was the launch of the new Mercedes GT63. So it was a premiere night.
Right.
And we had to put on a display before the GT63 came in for a world premiere live feed. So in the GT4 door there, we've done our bit of a display, and I'm in the SL63. So we do something called a chase on the inner.
Which is which one?
The yellow one.
Right.
So I'm basically Ed Redfern. You remember Ed from
Keith, you're not going very sideways there.
Ago. No, but I wasn't to go sideways there. So that's called a chase. So that's a 4MATIC car with no drift mode, so you can't go sideways on the inner.
Okay.
But so there was 3 cars that would drift on the inner and 3 cars that would run on the outer, then cut over the Stippry Abertal and cut in front, and then we do a chase. So it looks like I'm pushing the car round. As
cool,
you can see.
You're close to it, yeah.
Probably about that much. So
yeah.
Ed's on a full drift, and I'm sort of pretending to nudge. So as you can see with that photo, I think Ed's dad took that. And there's the famous Battistini sideways, where I just cut him up and came onto the inner, and it was great. There he is. Doesn't know where he is. Doesn't know what's just happened. But I think he's just won at Homestead, I think.
That's amazing.
Won his opening race in Indy Lights. So, yeah, Dillon, I've got to talk about Dillon. One of the most liked instructors we've got at Mercedes Benz World. Everyone loves Dillon. He should have been in F1.
Yeah, he's fast lad.
He won 5 oval races in Indy Lights. Won the Indy 500 support race.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Suffered some injuries, which put an end to his career in sort of, not end to his career, but he suffered on street circuits with the arm issue, something, a tendon had gone or something. So he was much quicker on ovals. I've seen some footage of him on ovals. He was awesome. And we were teammates in 2002, halfway through the season. And I remember being introduced to him. He's like, "All right, mate, how's it going?" All right. And he's exactly the same. "All right, pal, how's it going?" He's just he's not up himself in any way. He doesn't got this walk of, "Look at me, I'm an F3 driver, tight race suit, all tight, look at me, silly haircut." It's just, "All right, pal. All right, Dillon, you want a coffee?" "No, I've got one in my car. I'm going to sit in my car." Yeah. But whenever a guest gets out of a passenger ride with Dillon, they've definitely got value for money. And sometimes they get out and
they go, real assets. They go,
"Jeez, wow.
That kid's quick."
We do passenger rides together. We love having a little bit of fun on track in the wet. We love it. But he's a very talented guy, and I think. Do you know where everyone wanted that clean cut driver, the marketable one, and then Kimi Räikkönen changed it a bit.
Yeah.
Where everyone was like, everything clean cut.
Yeah.
Got to say the right thing. Kimmy came over.
Yeah. I just had the shit.
Yeah. So what do you reckon? I'm not sure what is done, but the guy is taking me out. I get a plane home. I don't stay to the end of the race. I have family. I say I'm going to go for a barbecue with my neighbors. So, yeah, if they want to race, they can carry on. So, I don't give a shit. I'm going to get an ice cream and just I'm going to fuck off and get out of here. Okay, see you. Bye-bye. Mate, they love him, man.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Dillon's like that, but
no,
he's
just a bit of a character.
So he's
lovely.
Yeah, he's great, and he's just a really nice guy, nice family.
I'd have to see him. I'd love to have a chat
everyone
with him,
loves
actually.
him. Customers love him. He's just he should have. A quick story. I remember 2006. It was Club Fiorano Ferrari, and me and Keith Padmore and Nick. And do you remember Enrico Battaglia?
No.
Nick Nack. Like the little Italian that took over from Club Fiorano.
No.
Loved himself, had the hair, loved the ladies. So Dillon turns up. He's like, all right, pal, how's it going, mate? All right. All right, Dillon, what are you doing here?
Are you sure you're his mate?
They've asked me to come down and do some driving. What are you instructing? Yeah, they've want me to go out on the track. How far? What should I do? Just drive like you normally do, Dillon. Right, so we're all on the pit wall. And he's out in a 360 challenge car with Enrico Battaglia, who won the Macau Grand Prix. Loved himself. You're right. Me, Nick, I think Pete Alexander there. I can't remember. A few of us there. Florida Phil, Tim Hulse, all that. I think we're all there. And all of a sudden this 360 challenge car goes belting past. We're like, oh, fuck. Did you see the rear of the 360 challenge is up in the air into paddock, Enrico, and he's just basically showing Enrico that he can drive. The car comes in, door opens, crazy Formula 3 driver, crazy, mental, crazy. He just drove so quick and fast. I don't think he was expecting anyone to be that quick.
Yeah.
I never saw Dillon again after that. I think he didn't like the fact that there was somebody quicker than him, Enrico. But he was driving, yeah. I just said to Dillon, just drive like you normally do, Dillon, and that's just quick. He was rapid in super lights.
Cheers, mate, then.
I remember super lights, he was like two tenths quicker than me. I was like, how's the car, Dillon? Yeah, it's all right, mate, it's all right. But legend.
Lovely fella.
We all, lovely guy. I remember, last summer we spent like 8 hours in the park in Sunningdale, our kids, his son, and we just kicked football, deck chairs, under an oak tree, just chatted about life. It's great. Yeah. It was one of those memorable days that you can go, just chatting.
Yeah,
having a coffee.
yes, just that's
we'll have to get Dillon
those
up.
You need those characters. Right, so we're now going to finish off the Keith Robinson holiday snaps and who he wants to give a shout out to on this podcast.
Shout out. So I always give a shout out to Dillon, but there's a guy who's I quite like. I admire him a lot. He's a nice guy. A guy called James Black. He's racing in the Mini 7 Championship. He's got 3 rounds supporting the touring cars. I think he came second in the championship this year. Just missed out last year. Just missed out second or third. But he's quite a hard guy trying to get sponsorship. Really nice guy. Another instructor with us. Hopefully James can get on the grid again. James Black, Paul O'Neill was giving him a big shout out as well. So wish him well, and he's another rising star, and hopefully he can make it into touring cars. Nice guy.
That's what his goal is. Yeah.
Nice guy.
Nice. And this is your crop.
Family.
Yeah.
So there's my lovely wife Natalia and our 2 lovely children, Christopher on the left and Sophie on the right. So, that was when we went to Spain, to Denia.
Lovely.
Had a great time. There's the little boy.
So you've indoctrinated him straight into motorsport
he didn't even know.
as soon as possible.
I've just super glued him in. No, he's
bad mistake.
He's loving it. So that was down in Daytona, which is only like 10 minutes from us.
Sandown.
Yeah. So he's taken up doing a bit in Bambino, which is great. So
is this a 4-stroke Bambino or?
Yeah. I can't do it. Yeah. I can't do it at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 4-stroke. Not that, not the, like, 20,000.
Yeah, but those, I mean, knowing from when that's what it,
That's it.
When,
but he's enjoying it.
When Scarlett did the Bambinos, I mean, those engines are
West
so expensive.
Side, East Side.
Well, you do live down in London, let's face it. Here we go. We can't leave a podcast with Pete. There's two more things that I insisted that he's like, why do you want me to put in that? Let's put this in, because this is mainly what I've known you for over the years, of random voice messages that usually at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And there would be no message. It would just be. It would just be.
Try and do my Jimmy Page bit, you know. See the look.
You're even doing the Jimmy Page rock there. Good playing that is, mate. So, well, do you ever watch X Factor?
No.
This was one of the tunes on X Factor. It was kind of introducing. It was always used.
Yes, I remember hearing it.
Led Zeppelin Kashmir. Mega song. From, maybe album.
In for the Outlaw.
Isn't it?
No, Physical Graffiti.
Is it Physical Graffiti?
Yeah.
I thought it was House of the Holy. Oh my God.
Yes, it was Houses of the Holy. No.
Do you think it is In Through the Outdoor? Is it Physical Graffiti?
Physical Graffiti.
Right. Proper, mate. Proper.
Yeah, it was physical. I'm sure it's Physical Graffiti. Yeah.
I don't know. Right, we'll find that out. We'll stick that in the notes. And so that was mega. And just to kind of finish off some of the roles that you do.
So yeah, some of the roles I do. I do some road testing down at a lovely classic car company. Amazing place, Joe McCurry Sports Cars in South Hills in London. That we deal in some amazing cars. I was very fortunate. They sent me out. I was actually looking for a Daytona for another friend of mine, so I contacted this guy out in Oregon, the only plexiglass European spec Daytona, and they sent me out to look over it and buy it.
Listen to it.
There I am. It's Daytona.
So it's funny enough, when you see the quality of this, it looks like something out of the Gumball Rally or a Cannonball Run. So there you go. You've gone like full circle. Same car that you got picked up from hospital in as a kid. This is when it's going to trigger our dogs off now. Yeah, what's that?
I did turn around.
Actually, let's see if
you fast forward it a bit. No, so there's another scene where I came flying back anyway. But I got, you know, they said, right, do you want to go out there? Pay you X amount, go and make sure the car's kosher. And it was a lovely guy called Gary Robinson who lived on this ranch out in Mount Hood, Oregon.
Right.
And I'd had such a good time driving this Daytona through Mount Hood, Portland, watching the trains, which is another one of my huge interests.
Yeah.
So Pacific American Railroad was literally just down the road. And I'm there counting 120 freight going by with 5 locos, 3 on the front, 2 on the back. I'm literally next to the line. Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, you were in the Daytona?
No, I was just watching.
You were just watching this.
I was just watching the trains.
Amazing.
So
you don't need to pick out pictures of train spotting.
No,
you're the only person that I know that's been a racing driver, plays a guitar, but loves a bit of train spotting as well. That's like the most random thing.
I do love a bit of train spotting. So I'm just trying to find it because it might take me a long time to get on here, folks.
I think we're going to run out of podcast time before we do that.
Really? So let me go on to the video here. This won't take long, mate. This won't take long. So where are we, pal? Where are we?
I'm really enjoying you using technology.
Yeah, man.
I do feel that we might lose a little bit of...
It was like me at Reading.
Hold it to this camera here.
That's the Kenneth Grange HS 125 Class 43. So the designer who designed that was influenced by the Ferrari Daytona.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to love my train set as a kid. Well, Keith.
Yeah, I got loads here. Here we go. So
oh my God.
Here we are. I was like Huckleberry Finn. So this is in Mount Hood. So I've just literally driven to Daytona, right? And then I'm on the Pacific American Railroad. Okay? Couldn't get much better, could it? Here we go.
It's pretty cool, actually, to be fair. Amazing. Amazing. Train spotter's paradise.
So out of the Daytona, I'm going to go and do some track work. Couldn't get any better.
That's the most.
Couldn't get any better, could it?
Keith, I knew this was going to be entertainment, mate. I really appreciate you.
Mate, no, thanks for
you
the
making
invite,
the trip
Danny.
up. We'll top man. Thank you very much.
That was good.
We'll set up Gumball Rally for tomorrow morning.
Gumball Rally.
Stick that on, and then I can do a bit more editing of Sire Hills thing. Get that out a little bit more.
Probably take you a couple of months to edit this one, wouldn't it?
It probably will, yeah.
Mate, it's been brilliant. Thanks for having me.
Top man.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace and love, man. Peace and love.
Peace and love, everyone. Don't lift off. Peace and love. See you later.